Okay. Alright, I think it's time to switch, huh? Okay. Let's go see what's going on down in Boca Chica. Man, that game's addicting, dude. You gotta be careful. Gotta be careful with this game. Tim Warden is nuts. Alright. You got the thing linked up. NSF has stacking coverage, huh? Alright. It looks buckled, okay? Here, fellas, I'm just gonna take a quick pee break. I'll be back in a moment. And we'll go from there. Alex, that game, man. Why did you guys... Well, it actually wasn't you guys. The developers sent me that key. Whoops. Alright. Fellas, I'll be back in a moment. See, we'll be back in 10 fagizzies. As in, where the fagizzy. Okay? I'll be back in a second. Just gonna go grab something to eat and take a pee break. Yeah, that's what happened. Please don't collapse. I'll be good. Oh, you're talking about Starship. Yeah, okay, I'll be right back.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
All right, dudes, what do we got? NSF cast almost there.
Camera.
Oh, there we
And
go.
once that happens, the whole lift process can only take really like 30 minutes or so. So it's a pretty fast process once they get moving, which could now basically happen any minute. And we'll, of course, shout that out as soon as we see it.
All right. So I'll keep the live cameras on here so you can get more views. You discussing the venting? Yeah. Okay. How was food? I actually forgot to eat something, if that sounds weird. Yeah. I was...
Discovery, go at throttle up.
I saw something that I needed to finish in the garage. And, yeah, I just didn't eat. It's fine. The stacking wing might be closer to launch. Yeah. Yeah, I started working on something in the garage, and I was like, oh, yeah. But it's okay. I got enough. I got some water to make some coffee. We'll be fine. The venting? That's probably nitrogen, dudes. What you gonna do, passing? What you gonna do? I don't think that's very healthy. I need to lose weight anyway. The 4-cam split owns you, Jado. At least have a beer because it's liquid bread. The vent is from the tank farm. Thinking that this is to pressurize booster 7 so it doesn't SN3 and crumple when S24 is stacked on top of it. Yep. Well, look who decided to show. Yeah, guy. Nice. Nature boy. Sweet. Great reference. All right. So once again, this footage is coming... Actually, not once again. This is the first time I'm telling you today. This footage is coming from our buddies over at NASA Spaceflight. Guys, make sure you go over there and sub to them. They are doing commentary themselves, and it's probably, frankly, probably better than mine.
So someone in Kerr will get on that.
That's Thomas Berghardt right there. He's doing a commentary over on their end. Yeah, I don't know why they let me stream this stuff. Not 100% sure why still to this day, but yeah, we can stream it, and this coverage coming from them. Make sure you go over there and give them a sub to the YouTube channel, okay? Reply Timberboard, I didn't mean about pump priority drawing water. Is there a priority for what water source crops draw water for to grow? Oh, she's off the ground. I didn't mean about pump priority drawing water. Is there a priority for what water source crops draw from to grow?
Discovery,
I mean, it depends on how you route it, how you build your systems, Novus, I'm pretty sure. Yep, she's lifting. There it is. Savvy, what's up, dude? Oh, if Timberborn's got my attention, Grab Shark, do you think Eco's a good idea? I don't. Yep, those dents stretched out, dudes. Shame NSF doesn't post daily anymore. It was part of my morning routine, but I do get how they wanted to change their channel, and it's still awesome. Yeah, I'm with you. Is this the final stacking before launch? Unlikely. Unlikely, Thailand. No. Yeah, that Eco is on like Elite Dangerous levels and Star Citizen levels of avoidance for me. It's just not a good idea. Have you seen the data from DART? I did. Yes, I did see the data from DART today. Yes, I absolutely did. An 11-minute orbital period change. That's pretty significant considering the DART was the size of a vending machine and Dynamos is the size of a or Dimorphos is the size of a football stadium. 11, I thought it was 32. 32-minute 11 was planned. Oh, yes. That's what I get for perusing it while I was playing Timberborn. Sorry, gentlemen. 32 minutes is great. Sorry, I got them all asking to do a server. I'm not doing an Eco server. I'm not playing Eco anytime soon. Yeah, that's not happening. Have they fueled Starship while on the booster before? I don't think so, Mutter. Alright, Starship is in the air, just very slightly right there. Let's see if the other camera has a better shot. Yeah, they're going to dual box right here, see? Physics do be like that, Darius. Yeah, I got any more of that eco? Yeah, I'm not playing eco, dudes. That's not a good idea. So, if I remember the last time they did this, they lifted it up slowly, and then they checked for load rates, and then they just took the thing up like crazy. So, guys, I want to remind everybody. So, you know, we're watching Starship. It's getting picked up. It's pretty cool, right? Oh, there they go. It's starting to move. Starting to move pretty quick. I just want to remind everybody that SpaceX is not only building like this crazy next generation rocket, but they're also building a pad that can literally put the vehicle together automatically. i.e., there's no one at the launch site here controlling this. Everybody's down the street in a control room. This is doing this basically remote control. That has never been done before. Ever. No one's ever done that. Maybe except for like an ICBM, I guess. Like if you count like a truck that, you know, will turn the ICBM straight up and then launch it. But that still doesn't integrate the vehicle. This is automatically putting the vehicle together, which is just... Y'all got any more of them irrigation ditches? Yep. This is putting that thing together automatically. Automatically. Comparatively to like the VAB, where you have like a crane and the crane picks up a piece and then there's a bunch of people around the rocket and they put it together and then they stack it and then you have a bunch of guys that bolt everything together, like all the systems together and whatnot. This thing's just putting this together like this. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the way the SLS does it is antiquated. Every rocket is put together like that nowadays. Even Falcon 9. It's just a bunch of guys in a hangar putting a rocket together, right? Like a bunch of men and women, you know what I mean? This thing makes even the way Falcon 9 gets put together look stupid. Like, this thing can just do it by itself. All right, just place Starship down at the front there. Just, crane comes up, pop, lift it up, put it down. Why don't we just take the Starship and put it over there? It's pretty crazy. How are they held together? What do you mean, Forlorn? Oh, here we go. Look, lifting it up. Can you believe that? Live commentary has an amazing sunset view. You know what? I'm going over here. Not bolted? So you're talking about Starship and Super Heavy? There's mechanical latches, Forlorn. Think Falcon 9. Like, they'll set Starship down. They'll make sure that Starship is aligned with some dowel pins, and then their Super Heavy has like clamps that will grab. See the rim right there? The rims, the at the end of the bulkhead. See the holes right there? It'll grab at those, and that's how it holds together. Completely 100% reusable decoupling system. EJ, Rivian tanked hard today. They recalled 13,000 vehicles due to a fastener losing all steering control. You probably shouldn't have used those rag joints, am I right? That's not what they did, but yeah. It's going to be interesting to see if the new pins in the bottom can keep Super Heavy steady. Remember Mechazilla lost a clamp arm on top. Ding, 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 ding. Look at that. 6 Raptor engines. So there's 3 vacuum Raptors here, and then 3 regular Raptors. These are for up in space. Those are for ascending into space and then landing. It's crazy, right? What's the significance of them raising Starship? Back alley, this is the 3rd time they've ever done this. 3rd time they've ever done it. And I've been here 50% of the time. Shouldn't we not look up the skirts? It's a bit frowned upon. It's not a skirt. It's an aft engine section segment majig. How fast are they raising Starship? Pretty dang fast, username. Yeah, I don't know the exact rate of speed, but it's pretty dang quick. Starship, the nose of Starship's already 250 feet in the air. 25-story building. Guys, this structure right here is 500 feet tall. 150 meters for the metric votes, or about the equivalent of a 50-story building. I would like to point out also that Starship, right in like that, the dry mass of Starship, so how much it weighs without any fuel in it, is like 120 plus tons. It's just lifting 120 tons like it's a toy. Could you base jump off of it? Yes, absolutely. With a quick parachute, yeah, of course, Kiranov. You'd have to jump and immediately pull the ripcord, but yeah. How tall is the OLM? The OLM, 15 meters, I'd say. 15 meters, something like that. I mean, if you and I were standing next to Super Heavy right now, we'd be about as tall as the mouse cursor. See the mouse cursor right there? Actually, probably about the size of, like, the straight face of the mouse. So if I move the mouse over here, right? You see the flat side of the mouse that I'm pointing at right there? That's how tall a person is. 22 meters on the OLM, thank you. I don't use your weird measurements. I could tell you it's 50, 60 feet off the ground. Did I miss any Dart news? They affected the orbital period of Dimorphos by, Didymos by about 32 minutes, which is a heck of an impact. Do you think that crane is powerful enough to lift a human? Do I think the crane is powerful enough to lift a human? You mean the crane right here that's lifting 120 tons of Starship up in the air? This thing right here? Do I think it's powerful enough to lift a human? Yeah. Could even lift your mom. Look, I don't know if you were going that direction with that joke, but I'm gonna be preemptive and say it. I'll be the one, okay? I'll be the one that says it. Chad already did it. My mom is too large. All right. Well, Paul, I was just being preemptive because I felt a mom joke coming. I felt it coming. I anticipated the insult, and I was preemptive about it. Yeah, you can see there's a little bird up there. SpaceX got a little bird in the air, peeping on it. Can the crane lift? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, twitching it can. All right. So what you're watching here is SpaceX stacking a Starship on top of their super heavy first stage. These two vehicles together, the second stage is called Starship. First stage is called Super Heavy. But SpaceX, the whole system is also called Starship. Allow myself to introduce myself. I think it's called the Starship Launch System. I think that's, or Starship Transportation System, I think is what they called it. I think they nabbed STS from the shuttle. This thing can be called STS. That's fine. It's worthy of that name. So the second stage right here, guys, is a reusable vehicle. It's kind of like a space shuttle, but it comes, instead of landing on a runway, it should, if SpaceX can do it, it should come down and land vertically, like a Falcon 9 almost. Buck Rogers style, as I like to call it. Nobody gets that reference. Some people might, anyway. So what we're watching here is SpaceX put the whole thing together. They're going to put this whole stack together. This is only the third time they've ever done this. So this is actually a pretty red letter occasion here. Now, if you're wondering about sizes, this thing's about 50 to 55 meters tall. This thing's about 70 meters tall right here. 9-meter diameter. So this thing over here is, let's see, I don't know, like 150, 160 feet tall, Starship, and about 30 feet wide. This thing over here is about 210, 220 feet tall, about the equivalent of a 22-story building, and the same diameter. It's 30 feet wide, which is just, guys, this is an unbelievably large launch vehicle. This is about as big as you get. The only rockets that are even comparable to this that are flying anytime soon or in the past are like the Saturn V, N1, and now rockets that are flying soon, SLS, New Glenn. Like, those are the only rockets that even come close to this thing. This thing is on another scale. It is absurd how big Starship is. Which landing method do you prefer, shuttle or Falcon? There are tiles missing firework, yeah. I think it did, Tuck. I'm pretty sure. Which landing method do I prefer, Gorthon? I don't know, dude. You know what? I'd say landing on a runway, fellas, because I'm stuck in my old ways. But, I mean, I love the Space Shuttle. The Space Shuttle is bae. It is my favorite launch vehicle, by a long shot. Now, with that being said, I know people are going to say, well, but EJ, what about the Saturn V? If I had to choose between the shuttle and the Saturn V, I'm taking the Saturn V. But the shuttle is god tier. It is an S tier launch vehicle. It doesn't get better than that. Personally, I don't really like the idea. Now, okay, keep in mind, okay, EJ's armchair engineering opinion. This is not a knock at SpaceX. SpaceX clearly knows more about this than me. Because if I knew more about it than Elon, I would be sitting here making a next generation space shuttle. Am I right? So take this with a grain of salt. This isn't a knock at SpaceX. I'm not really that big of a fan of vertically landing rockets with people on them. I think that if you're making a vehicle that's designed to go into low Earth orbit, something like the shuttle makes more sense because you use the atmosphere to your advantage instead of weighing your vehicle down even more with rocket engines. Now, with that being said, Starship is not just designed to go into low Earth orbit and back. That's why it's not a space shuttle. It's designed to land on the moon. It's designed to land on Mars. It's designed to be a deep space transfer vehicle. So taking those wings that you'd need for a horizontal landing, like the shuttle, don't really make sense. Hence the skydiving wings. Like, I get it. I get it. I understand why Starship is the way that it is. And, you know, it's pretty neat. You can tell it's a Starship because of the way it is. Will we have a launch today? No, Zeski, they're just testing, but personally, like, if I'm making a low Earth orbit access vehicle, I think the space shuttle is about as good as it gets. In fact, if we just took that basic design of like solid rocket booster external tank orbiting vehicle and tried to make it again today, it would work. It would work a lot better. I mean, look at SpaceX's tiles. Those things can take a beating. But what a lot of people don't know is that those tiles on Starship are Mark II shuttle tiles. They are tough and unifibrous, reinforced oxidation resistant, corrosion resistant tiles. They're called Tough Rock for short. Tough Rock was developed originally as a better tile for the space shuttle. Those are Tough Rock tiles. So that's what I mean. Like, you know, if we tried to make that thing again today, it would work, and it would work really well. You could basically beat all the problems that the original shuttle had. You know, foam coming off, hitting the tiles, you know, the tiles coming off due to moisture that gets absorbed during shuttle reentry. You could basically negate all those problems. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think we should go around building a space shuttle again. I'm saying if I had the choice, I would probably try to do it. But here's the thing. EJ's an armchair engineer. I just communicate this stuff, all right? I'm not the guys and girls that are actually doing that. You know what I mean? Gotta remember, Starship is not designed to just go into space and come back like the space shuttle. It's not designed to do that. It's designed to go anywhere in the solar system. So that is a different engineering, that's different stakeholder requirements, and that's going to require different solutions. Personally, I think horizontal landing is a lot safer, but that's only if you're doing a low Earth orbit access vehicle. This thing is more than that. It's way more than that. I know, W, there is. Thanks for the answer. I thought it was an interesting question. Personally, I prefer Falcon just purely because I think it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, Gorthon, you ever see the space shuttle fly? I mean, Venture Star Hellfish is the end-all be-all. That is the end game of low Earth orbit reusable access vehicles. Just gotta frickin' make it. Not live, no. Okay. Yeah, there. Yeah, Gorthon, yeah, you didn't grow up with the shuttle. The shuttle was amazing. It was amazing, dude. It could go up. Watching the shuttle missions was wild, dude. It's all the magic that you see from like Crew 4, Crew 5, stuff like that. But the thing, dude, it takes payload up. You see the arm, you see them moving the arm around, you see them building the space station. It was wild, dude. It was wild. I don't, you know, hopefully with this, you guys get to see what I'm talking about. You guys get to see stuff like this get made again. It was wild. Those missions were insane. Do you really think you can catch the booster? Skater, I do. I think they can catch it. Devlin, full stack hype? Yeah, man. Venture Star, skip the ET entirely. I agree. Oplex. I agree. With stir welded ortho grids and iso grids, we can make that happen. No problem. Or screw that. Dude, carbon composite. Carbon composite fuel tanks can work. It'll work great, actually. Now we just need to figure out how to create a warp bubble and we're good to go. Yeah, Loki. In good time, man. Catch the second half of your last. There's a lot of you in here, and there's a lot of people talking, so you're going to have to bear with me. Though imagine Venture Star with an empty payload bay pushing a large diameter fairing. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, Sile, some of my earliest memories, you know, when I was a kid, like, this was back in the Stone Age for the younger folks, was watching the Hubble servicing missions with my dad, because NASA TV used to be every cable provider had NASA TV. It was everywhere, and it was like public broadcasting. It was like PBS. NASA TV came with cable, or you could get it on rabbit ears, which I know that nowadays people, kids can just Google what rabbit ears are for televisions and they know what it is. But yeah, nobody's ever had to actually go and mess around with that. I remember doing that.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Yeah, Forge, there you go. Hey, Schmoog, 91 months. Yeah, there you go. The foil strats, space stuff. Oh my gosh, dude. I remember the first TV. First TV I had, I bought. Or not bought, I didn't really buy it. The first TV I had was an analog television. It had rabbit ears on it. I had to wrap the rabbit ears with tinfoil because I went to the dump and fixed it. The recycling center near my house, freaking, people just drop off old TVs, right? And back then you could just take them. So I took an old Quasar television, 3 knobs, dude. Power knob, power and volume. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on the first knob, and then 1 to 100 on the second knob, and you got maybe 3 channels. And I got the thing working somehow. Quasar television. Quasar makes microwaves, for what it's worth. Yeah, a Quasar television, and I would watch TV on it. My parents were like, yeah, if you could fix it, you could have it. So I fixed it, and I put it in my room, and I was watching TV when I was like 9 or 10. It's pretty funny. Yep. Dude, that knob click noise is still awesome. I always loved the 0 to 10 knob. It's like, it was the best noise. The other knob's like, I hated that one. That one sounded like crap. But yeah, some of my earliest memories were not on that TV, but on the big TV. We had a 30-inch television. Whoa. 480p, 30-inch television. We'd watch Hubble servicing missions on that. Yeah, it's freaking crazy. And Gorthon and everybody else, if you're younger, you'll remember this. You'll remember this if you're a space fan. You'll remember this. First time they stacked, first time they launched. First mission, the first Polaris mission with people aboard. You guys will remember that. And you'll grow up with Starship. And Starship will be the thing because you grew up with it, It's like Falcon 9 is the thing for a lot of people because they grew up with it, you know. Paper City, 9-month resub. What about Banana for Level? Nice 2020. How will the lower grid fins clear the chopsticks when it lands? They'll be folded back, 619, and Starship will basically, guys, they'll catch, how they're going to catch it is, if you look at the long chopsticks, it's kind of a dead giveaway. So, like, if this is the chopsticks right here, right, so, you know, peas, dancing on the grave, you know what I'm saying, like, so these are the chopsticks, right? When the booster comes down, it's I don't think it's going to come down straight like this, because that would mean that you have to kind of clear the chopsticks with the bottom and then snip the thing, right? I think the booster's going to come in a little bit sideways, just a little bit. And I think that little bit of sideways lateral motion is how they're going to get a precise catch. Because if you're coming in straight down, it's like balancing a pencil on your fingertip. That's really difficult to do. Thank you for the bits, guys. And B-Money, thank you for the resub. It's like balancing a pencil on the tip of your finger. That's very difficult to do. The reason why it's like that is because rockets experience a very, 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 very aerodynamically unstable part of their flight regime right at liftoff, and in SpaceX's case, right at landing. Why? Well, okay, picture a plane going down a runway. Plane's going down a runway. You have just a 737 or a 747, and no, hopefully the wheel doesn't fall off, all right? What happens? You throttle the engines up. You get going down the runway, right? You get going down the runway, and then the wings lift up, and then the plane takes off. Long story short, you need air over the wings to get them to do anything.
Go at throttle up.
Hey, Riverin, thank you for the 5 subs. I appreciate it. You got to get air going over it. Rockets are the same way. They are flying through the air. They don't really necessarily have wings, right? But rockets do fly through the air. We've seen Falcon 9 do it. It's generating some lift with the grid fins, even when it's coming back down to land, right? So when the rocket comes back down and it goes below, I don't know, 40 meters a second, so 120 feet per second, or about 80 miles an hour, you're going below that, so about 100 kph. When you go below that, the airspeed on the vehicle, so the air moving over the vehicle, is not moving fast enough to really create any effect at all. So when the rocket is coming down into land, and when they're taking off, you're entirely reliant on your thrust vector control systems, or a gimbal, if you're using that. I mean, you could have TVC, you could have vernier engines, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. Any Kerbal player knows this, right? Like, anybody play, oh, I put RCS on mine to stable. Oh, I just put a shuttle engine on it and called it a day. You know what I mean? Kerbal players, am I right? So you have to rely on some form of control, because you can't really rely on aerodynamic stabilization. It doesn't work that way, because you're not going fast enough for the air to make a difference. So if you're trying to come down straight, land straight up like this, right? It's going to be very aerodynamically unstable. The rocket could, move left to right, and I think that's where a lot of people's skepticism comes from. Like, how the heck are you going to get it this precise? The window, if it's coming in to land and the chopsticks catch it, they need to catch a pin about this big. How are you going to do that? How's that even going to happen, right? Well, I think the solution here is to have the booster come in a little bit sideways, because if you're coming in a little bit sideways, air is moving over the vehicle left to right. And if your lateral motion, right, if you're coming in laterally, you're still not going to get enough aerodynamic force moving over the vehicle for it to make a difference. But you can use the momentum of the vehicle to be nice and precise, because if you're using the momentum of the vehicle and you're coming in a little bit sideways, the vehicle's going to want to keep going in that direction. All right, so if you can know, because of the momentum of the vehicle going sideways a little bit when it comes down to land, you can basically make a nice, easy target for this thing. Like, think of like a plane landing on a runway almost. I think the long chopsticks are a giveaway for what SpaceX is trying to do. Now, don't get me wrong. If you are a Starship fanatic and you know the Cape launch site, they have shortened chopsticks. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to come in kind of sideways. I think that SpaceX is confident that they can do a precise landing, but I still think this thing it's not going to be like sideways like this, right? It's going to be coming down a little bit sideways. It's still going to be going way more down than it is going sideways, but using the momentum of the booster like that, you can be a lot more precise. could be a lot more precise. That's just a personal theory. I think because of that, I think they'll be able to catch it. I mean, guys, you can go try this in Kerbal. Try to land a booster straight down and then try to land it kind of sideways. I think it's totally doable. Yeah, Forge, there you go. I think it's totally a thing that can be done. Why are the lights flashing on the tower? They're strobe lights so a plane doesn't hit them. All right, Starship is at the right height now. They're going to start tilting her. Or not tilting her. They're going to start turning her over to the booster here. I agree, Midget. Yeah. I still think they're going to come down slightly sideways. Don't get me wrong. It's still, to you and I, it's still going to look almost vertical. It's going to look almost straight down. But it's going to carry a little bit of the lateral component. Once again, you're using that momentum to be precise. Is there a reason why they're doing this so late in the day? I think knowing SpaceX, Roscoe, they're doing it now because this is when they were ready. Honestly. Elena said that all horizontal velocity would be gone early into the landing burn. Yeah, Phoenix, right? I mean, all horizontal velocity would be gone early into the landing burn. Well, I mean, like I said, Phoenix, what I'm saying is just an opinion. It's just a theory. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. If SpaceX can nail it going straight up and down, well, good on them, because that gets really, really difficult really, really fast. But yeah, if they think they have an advanced enough control system to do it, or if they say they do, or if Elon says, yeah, I believe you. I believe him. Phoenix, I've been following SpaceX for a very long time. I've been following this entire space program, the whole space program, just space in general. I've been following it for easily over a decade. Now, don't get me wrong. For some people, that's nothing, right? I really got into it like 2009, 2010, 2011. That's when I was like really, really, really started to be like, I love space. Space is my favorite. And it is. Like, it's not a lie, right? But if it's one thing that I've noticed, don't bet against SpaceX. They'll get it. In Elon's own words, right? They take the impossible and make it late. He said that in Tim Dodd, Everyday Astronauts interview with him. Yeah, take the impossible and make it late. So don't bet against them. They'll get it. They'll get it right. They have a lot of momentum, not sideways, but you know, who knows? I don't know. Oh, thanks, Hell Hydra. I appreciate it. Are the booster and Starship at launch weight for this? What's launch weight? You mean launch weight would be their full of fuel source? No, they're nowhere near it. They're both dry. The vehicles are just residually pressurized with helium or nitrogen. Yeah, guys, you gotta remember, when I was getting into this, people were saying vertically landing a booster was impossible. There's like, no one, you can't do that. There's no control system that exists that's smart enough to be able to land a booster by itself. And SpaceX said, fine, we'll just make a better control system. And they did. And it's kind of scary how they were just like, yeah, all right, cool, we can do that. The reason for the lift being delayed, they had some problems with foam pads on the chopsticks. Well, there you go. People laughed at it, and then they laughed at him when they said that you'd reuse it. Yeah, guys, I remember there were people that I really, there were like, you know, space fans out there that I really respect because they like the shuttle and I like the shuttle. And these people were like, oh, SpaceX won't be able to reuse stuff. I know everything about the space shuttle. They couldn't reuse the engines with the space shuttle. They won't be able to reuse the engine. Okay. I'm pretty sure SpaceX launched a booster for the 14th time the other day on the Intelsat Galaxy 3334 mission and landed it 14 times. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't know if that booster has engines on it that have flown 14 times with the booster, but I do know that SpaceX's definition of reusability is not changing the engines. So the booster isn't ship of Theseus. At least I know that to an extent, you know? Nice firework. So what's the word on what this stack is for? I don't know. Might be just doing some dynamic testing. I have no idea. I don't know. See last. Yeah, I know. Thank you. It was linked already, W. Like probably about 15 seconds before you linked it. I appreciate it though. Thank you. There we go. Alright, I got it. What the hell is going on here? What the?
挑戦してくれたかな。打ち上げの今日、クイズの締めくくりとしてあと3問クイズを出しますので、みんな挑戦してみてね。
Is that a beaver?
まずは1問目。ある偉大な人についてのクイズだよ。日本の宇宙開発の父である糸川英夫博士の銅像の台座には、人生で最も大切なものは〇〇と良き友であると書かれています。〇〇に入る言葉は何でしょう。次の4つから選んでね。1、
That's right, Dish.
好奇心。2、逆境。3、運。4、お金。さあ、みんな分かったかな。分かった人はツイッターで
Twitterです。
ハッシュタグをつけて答えてね。
はい、Twitterです。
正解はこの中継の最後の方で発表するよ。
So this is the launch coverage for Japan's Raise 3
はい、
satellite.
これまでもですね、ガチャピンはツイッターでロケットや衛星やいろんなですね、
It's
ク
an
イズを
Epsilon
取材
Rocket
してきたんですが、
launch.
今
Raise 3
回
is
は
a
ファイナ
demo
ルとして
satellite
今日の配
testing
信中に
climate
3問
monitoring
出題され
equipment.
ます。まず1問目は糸川
It does
博士に関する問題でした。さあ、金子さん、これはお分かりですかね。
はい、もちろんです。私もですね、何度も経験してきました。
はい、ということで皆さんにもですね、ぜひ
multiple
お
choice
答えいただけたらなと思うんですが、ツイッターには同じ問題がですね今投稿されていますので、ぜひ答えをクリックして回答してみてください。さらにツイッターでは皆さんからの応援メッセージを募集しています。ハッシュタグ頑張れ革新イプシロンとつけてつぶやいてください。また
She
概
said
要
you
欄
could
の
follow the launch
URL をクリ
coverage
ッ
on
クしていた
Twitter
だい
for
て
the
も
Epsilon
簡単に入
Rocket.
力することができます。皆さんからのメッセー
Same
ジを
stuff.
お待
Same
ちしてお
stuff.
り
Doesn't
ま
matter
す
the。language.
さて、そんなですね盛りだくさんの
I
今
know,
日の
right?
配信のタイムテーブルを簡単にご紹介します。この後9時50分頃にリフトオフを予定しています。
The
そし
green
てその
guy is
後リフトオ
Gachapin.
フをしまして52
He
分
and another character,
35
Muku,
秒
used to
後
have
に
their
レイ
own
ズ
show,
3
but
が
now
分
they're
離
both
します。
general celebrities.
最後に
Cool.
リフトオフ後から1時
Is that
間
like Elmo
11
and
分
Big Bird?
42秒後に全衛星の分離が完了するという予定となっています。さて打ち上げまでですね残り25分くらいになりましたが、小谷さん、このイプシロンロケット6号機について簡単に説明をお願いします。
Yeah,
はい、わか
pretty
りま
much.
した。
That's it, right?
イプシロン6号機はですね、だいたい全長でいうと26メートルぐらい、ビルでいうと9階建てぐらいの高さですね。で、まあ幅直径が
Epsilon is a rocket. It's
2.6 メートル、あと重さが
26
96トン
meters
ありまして、
tall, 2.6 meter
非常にコ
wide,
ンパク
weighs
トなロケッ
96
トになって
tons,
ま
fully
す。
fueled.
それでですね、このロケットはですね、今4
And
段
has a-
構成にな
what
っ
is
てま
that?
して、最初の3段が固体
kilograms?
推進薬、そして最後の1段、が
800
液体
kilogram
推進薬を
payload.
搭載してい
The
ま
sun
す。
synchronous.
でこの
Yeah,
4
sure,
段の
Tesla.
さらに上にですね、
Muku and Gachapin
搭
are
載
less
物、
annoying than
こ
Elmo,
の
I
絵で言うと
guarantee
で
you.
すね、
They're
こ
more
の
like
先
Big Bird.
の
Got it.
尖った部分ですね、はい、ここが格納できるスペースになってまして、ここに衛星が8つですね、今回打ち上げる衛星8つが
入っているんですね。
はい、乗っていることになります。
はい。さあそんなですねイプシロン
Japan's
のこ
really
れ
into
までの
mascots,
歴史
yeah.
とこれからの展望について
Like really into
VTR にまとめていま
They
す。ご
use
覧
they
くだ
have
さい。
mascots for everything. Epsilon has its own mascot, dude.
新世代の固体燃料ロケットとして開発が進められたイプシロンロケット。
Epsilon Rocket. Send it. It's a converted ICBM, if you were wondering.
2013年の試験機打ち上げからおよそ10年、
Did
5機
Starship
す
dead?
べての打ち上げに成功するなど数多くの偉業を達成してきました。
Nowhere near fluency.
その原点にはロケット開発に携わる人々のこんな思いがありました。
私が考えたことは、その絶対的真理、絶対的に正しいことから始めようと。やっぱり国民の皆さんがですね、ワクワクするロ
It's
ケ
too
ッ
fast
ト
for me, dude.
それと直接的なお客さんでありますペイロードですね、衛星探査機の方々、
Nice,
そういった方たちがこのロケットに乗りたいなと。で最後に私が一番重要だと考えていることがありまして、
Come on, Mouse. Megas. You're weeb issue. Bumblebee tuna.
情熱を持てるロケット、やっぱりこの新しいロケットも何らかその世界最高レベルを目指す。
みんなに愛される世界最高のロケット。
So
特別だった宇宙をもっと身近にするためにイプシロンロケット。
on the left, guys, we have Starship stacking, and on the right, we have the Epsilon Rocket Raise 3 mission. It's a rocket that's going out of Japan. Raise 3 is a demo satellite testing environmental and meteorological sensing equipment. So it's just a little test to test out climate monitoring sensors and whatnot. Epsilon 2 here, or the Epsilon rocket, that's the Epsilon 2 launch. The Epsilon rocket is a solid rocket booster small sat launcher from Japan. It's a converted ICBM. It's what it is, converted ICBM. And that's what's going on the right here. On the left, we have Starship. Spacex is stacking S-24 on booster 7. How many of these have launched? They're telling you about every launch right now.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
4号機では多くの企業や大学などに
I think this is the 6th mission, 2020, I
7
think.
機の衛星から構成される革新的衛星技術実証1号機の打ち上げがミッションに。そのため複数の衛星を搭載するシステムや複数の衛星をそれぞれの軌道に投入するシステムを開発。より多くの衛星を宇宙に届けるというイプシロンのミッションが達成されました。
乾杯!
そして5号機で
No,
も
I didn't. I knew it. I said your weeb is showing, Megas. Jeez,
超
put it
小
away.
型衛星4機、キューブサット4機の打ち上げに成功。
基本的に4号機と同じ
Just turned into a
機
monitoring
体
channel. That's
を
what-
製作して打ち上げるというところで非常に安定してきたなと。その安定してきたところが一番の最大の進歩だ
Starship's
と
almost
私
stacked.
は思ってまして、スムーズな打ち上げ
I don't know,
で綺麗
Corey.
な打ち上げ、素晴らしい打ち上げができたんじゃないかなと。
It's
コンパ
developed
クトな
from the
完成、
SRBA and the
最高
H2.
の乗り
Thanks,
心地、
thanks, Joseph. Yeah, I wasn't
高い軌
sure.
道投入精度と安定した世界最高レベルを保つイプシロンロケット。開発の裏側にはこんなことも。
やはりその試験機というのは非常に苦労したんですね。射場に行ってですね、そこでよし行けるぞと思ったんですけど、打ち上げの19秒前に自動停止してしまいました。リハーサルやって
Quick
きたん
disconnect
ですけ
arm
ど
is、moving into position
その
here.
リハーサルで唯一確認していないところがに問題が発生して
Yeah, engineer
止ま
work.
ったんですね。
It's pretty damn good engineering, if you
で
ask me.
当日か翌日かですね、宿に帰ってテレビ見てるとですね、子供地元打ち上げを見に来てくれた子供が泣いてるんですね。
Thing is, he's not
で
speaking
今日
very
打ち上げが
fast.
見れなかったって言って泣いていたのを見てですね、非常に申し訳ないなと、皆さんに申し訳ないなとも思いました。また点検をしてですね、また夜中までデータ評価をしてというようなことを繰り返して9月の14日に臨んだと。
試験機から5号機まで全ての打ち上げを成功させてきたイプシロンロケット。それを実現させたのはこうした思い
I
があった
think
か
he's
らな
saying
ので
something
す。
like since 2013, the
そして
Epsilon rocket has
イプシロン
launched
ロケット6号機が
6
10年目
missions
の
or
集大
something
成
like
に
that.
向けた ミッションに挑みます。
He's basically saying this is basically the history of the
6号機
rocket
では
and the
自
payloads that
宅衛
it
星
deployed.
2機も打ち上げ、着実な民間移管への取り組みを推進していきます。またイプシロン S ロケット適用に向けて開発中のロケットの位置・速度を計測する機器リンスの飛行実証も行います。イプシロンロケット強化型は6号機で運用を終了しますが、イプシロンロケットはさらに進化し続けます。
6号機に関してはみんなが本当に魂を込めて
But it doesn't matter if it's in English or Japanese. It's all the same. They say the same things.
やはり多少
That's how I was able to get what
寂
the
し
Russians
い
were
ところあり
saying
ま
most
す。
of
ま
the
だ
time. I mean, I didn't get it right
そうい
all
う
the
実感は
time.
ないです。打ち上がった後そういう実感があるのかもしれません。
Thank you for
け
your
ど
help.
もやはり次に向けての第一歩だと考えているので、まあそこは輝かしい未来に向けてですね、なんとかやってくれると思います。
これからも引き継がれていくイプシロンの理念。2023年度打ち上げ予定のイプシロン S ロケット。これまでの技術を生かし民間企業へ打ち上げを委託します。現在開発中の H3 ロケットとのシナジー効果を進め、より速くより高性能に、より優れた競争力を持って宇宙へ運ぶ。そうした理念をもとに開発が進められています。委託を受ける IHI エアロスペースの港正史イプシロンプロジェクト部長は、
He's the Epsilon program director.
今までは宇宙というのは大変敷居が高かったと思ってます。イプシロン S として、宇宙の裾の敷居を下げて、多くの方に、乗っていただきたいと。自国で輸送手段を持たない、海外の衛星、アジア圏を特に中心にして全世界的な衛星ということを、打ち上げていくということを考えてございます。
イプシロン S ではベトナム向けの地球観測衛星ロータスサット1の打ち上げも受注。海外の衛星を打ち上げるのは初めてのことになります。
衛星の小型分散化というのが今進んでおりまして、多くの衛星コンステレーションによって、その衛星データを用いたソリューションサービスというのが。
619, how do they get it lined up like forward back? Dude, they have basically on each chopstick, dude, the bolts are riding on a threaded rod. It's like a screw jack, dude, on both sides. So like they can move the points back at the catch points. They can move them back and forth by just twisting a threaded rod. It's a rack and pin. They got a rack and pin basically on each chopstick, and that can move Starship forward back. It can also turn it left to right. Yeah, it's pretty nuts, dude. The threaded rod is like the size of a baseball. It's not any joke, dude. I watched them install it. It was pretty nuts.
お仕事されていらっしゃったんですよね。
So you see how Starship
そうです
isn't
ね。
line.
私は
They'll
イプシ
bring
ロ
it
ン
in
の
here.
試験機、
Actually,
初
they're
号機
doing
の
it right now.
時の開発には関わっておりましたけれども、
Rib,
本当ですね、皆さん実直で、そして
if you have like an Ender 3, for up and down, there's just a motor, right? And that turns a threaded rod and the thing rides up and down. Literally that.
初号機からイプシロン S ロ
So
ケットという
it's
も
like
のに
one of
ま
the
た変わってい
axis
くわ
on
け
the
ですけれ
3D
ども、
printer.
まあ
Not
さらにで
both.
すね、
Like the left to right
民間
axis
ビジネス
doesn't
に活
work
用
like
され
that.
る
It's a
ように
motor
民間
that's
企業
riding
に委
on,
託をし
you know,
て、
riding on
で
a
民
crossbar,
間
right?
チェ
And
サー
that
ビスと
motor
して
turns the wheel and it goes
イプシロン
back
を打
and
っていく
forth.
ので、
はい
まあ
Or
さ
it
ら
turns
に
a
いろんな
belt,
人が
if I'm
活用してく
remembering
れる
right.
こ
I
とを期
messed
待
with
して
the
ます
3D
ね。
printers.
そうですね、これから
But for up and
人気
down,
ですね。
for Z movement on a 3D
さて
printer, literally
イプシロン
that, but turn it on its
6
side.
号機に
And that's how
搭載
they
され
move
ました
Starship
革
back
新
and
的
forth.
衛星技術実証3号機の実証テーマとリフトオフ後のフライトシーケンス、そして革新的衛星技術実証3号機のプロジェクトマネージャーからの意気込みを
Starship will move
VTR でご覧ください。
ロケット発射場から打ち上げられたイプシロンロケット6号機。ここからはそのフライトシーケンスを紹介します。打ち上げからおよそ2分31秒後、大気圏に突入しフェアリングを分離します。およそ2分41秒後には第1弾 第2弾が分離、第2弾の燃焼を開始します。およそ6分30秒後に第2弾、第3弾が分離し、第3弾の燃焼を開始します。
Cool.
およそ9分54秒後に第3弾 PBS が分離、そして打ち上げからおよそ52分35秒後に小型実証衛星3号機レイズ3が分離されます。その後もロケットは飛行を続け、残り7機の衛星が順次分離されていきます。打ち上げからおよそ1時間11分42秒後に最後の衛星が分離される予定です。今回イプシロンロケット6号機が打ち上げるのは12の実証テーマを担う革新的衛星技術実証3号機。このうち小型実証衛星3号機に搭載されているのは7つの実証テーマ。宇宙から通信革命を、低軌道衛星マイモ、 IoT 伝送装置レオミ、物を作らないものづくり。
So did you guys see how they spun the payload off of they spun the second stage before they jettisoned the payload? You know why? Because rifling your payload, it's not called that, it's just spin stabilization. Rifling your payload like that, they do that for the same exact reason that a bullet will rifle out of a barrel and spin. It's for stabilization. Because if you could just spin the stupid thing, boom, there you go. You get free SAS basically. It's free stability assist for you, Jim. It's free stability. So a lot of rockets do that. A lot of rockets spin. Delta 2 was notorious for it. Interesting thing about the Delta K upper stage on Delta 2, they had two yo-yos attached on either side of like the 12 and 6 position on the stage, and they would spin the Delta K stage to spin the payloads, and if they needed the stage to stop spinning, they deployed two yo-yos out the sides. Seriously, it's a yo-yo on a string, space yo-yos. And they would let the thing unwind, right? So like if you took a yo-yo and you flicked it out like that, right? You want to shoot the moon with a yo-yo, same exact thing. It increases the moment of inertia on the stage and gets it to stop spinning. True story. Delta 2 doesn't fly anymore.
ネジゼロで宇宙に挑む一体成形技術実証衛星早稲田サットゼロ。
What is this on the right? So, guys, over here on the right-hand side of your screen, I have coverage of the Epsilon 6 Raise 3 mission. It is a small sat launcher out of Japan that's launching, well, that right there. It's launching, actually, it's a rideshare mission. It's launching a bunch of stuff. But its primary thing is Raise 3. Raise 3 is a test satellite that's testing a bunch of sensing equipment that could be on different satellites. The Epsilon Rocket is a basically an SRB-based small sat launcher, somewhat analogous to Vega, kind of, only a little bit smaller. It would basically be like if they took like an Atlas V or an Atlas Delta or Vulcan like side SRB and made it into a small sat launcher. The Epsilon Rocket's first stage is the side boosters for the Japan's larger launch vehicle, the H2. So this is a tiny little launch vehicle, but it does pack a punch because SRB. A Japanese Minotaur. That would be the closest equivalent to it, yeah. And then on the left, we have SpaceX Starship stacking over there. They are stacking Ship 24 on Booster 7 down in Boca Chica, Texas. Over here on the left, we're not going to see a launch. This is going to launch. That is just doing testing, but it's still pretty dang cool to sit here and be provided coverage from our buddies over at NASA Spaceflight of the largest launch vehicle ever designed being put together. That's still really cool to see. And more or less, it's being done remote control. Nobody's sitting out there on the pad. SpaceX is controlling this remotely. Their pad is remote control, which is, if you know anything about putting rockets together, doing that remote is kind of ridiculous. Do they have any human-rated vehicles? Japan? I don't know if the H2 is human-rated. I don't think it is. Japanese astronauts launch on American vehicles. A lot of Japanese astronauts flew on the shuttle. Aki Hoshide, Soichi Noguchi, and Koichi Wakata, who's just launched on Crew 5. Aki came down on crew 3 and Soichi was on crew 1, I think. So Japan flies their astronauts on Dragon right now, and that makes perfect sense because Dragon's awesome.
ぜひ打ち上げ成功本当に楽しみにしていますし、これからの宇宙の発
It's a
展
bird.
さらに身近に感じられる宇宙
Yeah,
未来
right
が
there.
楽しみです。ぜひ頑張ってください。応援してます。
はい、お二人からのメッセージ、小谷さんどうですか？
お二方の熱い気持ちが伝わってきました。本当にコメントありがとうございます。
はい、さて打ち上げ後にもですね、こちらのお二人からのメッセージを再びお伝えしますのでお楽しみに。さてもう間もなくイプシロンロケット6号機が打ち上げられます。ここからはライブ映像と実況音声で見守りましょう。
Discovery, go
Here's
and throttle
Epsilon
up.
on its launcher. Hey, Boone. 48 months, 4 years. Thank you for doing what you do. Hey, appreciate it, man. Thanks for the sub. Thanks for being here. Really means a lot, man. Also, my ping's too high. It's 4 years, man. Can you believe that? Liftoff time is 9:50 local, so we're about 5 minutes out on that the Epsilon 6 launch. Dude, I love how industrial that launch pad looks. Look at that thing.
打ち上げ8分前になりました。内之浦宇宙空間観測所イプシロン管制センターからイプシロンロケット6号機による革新的衛星技術実証3号機 QPSR3、QPSR4 の打ち上げ状況をお伝えしております。
Hello?
Minutes in counting, this is a live launch coverage of the 6th Epsilon launch vehicle carrying the innovative satellite technology demonstration 3, QPSR3, and QPSR4 reporting from the Epsilon Control Center at the JAXA Uchinoura Space
I
Center.
don't know what that means, Motorkid.
最終後濃合判断の結果、イプシロンロケット6号機の打ち上げを本日日本時間の午前9時50分43秒に実施します。
We were just given the final go decision. The time set for Epsilon 6 launch today will be 9:43 a.m. Japan Standard Time.
Okay, 4 minutes out. No, my clock is fast. Sorry. It's not 4 minutes. But
現在各系ともロケット打ち上げの最終作業を行っています。また警戒区域の安全は確認されています。
We are at the final launch operations. The restricted areas have been cleared.
安全系準備完了。
The range safety system is go.
okay, range is go on the Epsilon launch. It looks like they got the sound suppressor working. Yep, one of my clocks up there is a little bit fast. Yes, clocks, don't worry about it. Trying to get better at converting time zones, dudes. Also, Starship is being crowned right here. Or super heavy, I should say.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
It looks like they do have the booster, Starship and the booster aligned here. T-minus 5 minutes.
車上系飛行安全系準備完了。
The range system and the flight safety system are go.
衛星系の準備は完了しています。
The satellite system is go.
Okay. I'm going to assume that software system is go means auto sequencer start, which means that they've flipped the guidance systems on and the primary flight computers on the Epsilon rocket. I'm pretty sure that's what that translates to. 4 minute 30 on the Epsilon launch. Starship is going. SpaceX is going to lower Starship down right when this thing launches, aren't they? Yeah, that's what's going to happen. T-minus 4 minutes. SpaceX is lowering Starship down on the left there. So once again, we got a double box here. This is the Epsilon 6 rocket carrying the Raise 3 satellite. It's a Japanese small sat launcher that is launching in 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And then on the left, we have SpaceX stacking Ship 24 on Booster 7 here for the third time ever. They've only done this 2 times prior. We're going to have to go to quad box soon, Tessa. We need more monitors, you know? I see the drone, Gujo. Yep. It's a bird, by the way. Drones don't exist, or something like that. So what they're doing is they're spraying down the flame trench with water to basically help protect it, because water's really good at absorbing the heat, especially heat from a rocket motor. Basically makes it so the pad doesn't absorb the heat, the water does, and it just creates a bunch of steam. It's called a pad deluge system. Or a sound suppressor, depending on where you spray the water. Inside of 3 minutes on Epsilon here. Epsilon should be launching at about 50 past the hour here, so we're, once again, inside of 3 minutes. Let me just make sure that Epsilon Big Box does work. Yes, it does. Starship works. Side by side works. All right, cool. It's been quite a while. I was thinking the other day, I started watching you when I was playing KSP in high school. Completed an aerospace engineering undergrad and I started a master's in physics all
現在車上の天候は曇り、気温摂氏17.7度、北の風毎秒 9.0 メートルです。イプシロンロケット6号機の打ち上げに問題はありません。
It's T-minus 3 minutes and counting. Here at the launch site is cloudy. Temperature is 17.7 degrees Celsius. Wind is 9.0 meters per second from the north. The weather has no constraint for Epsilon 6 launch.
Okay.
本日の打ち上げ予定時刻は日本時間午前9時50分43秒です。
Today's scheduled liftoff time is 9:43 a.m. Japan Standard Time.
Started watching in high school and now I'm in medical school. Gee. Well, hey, I'm glad you guys could be with me this
前
whole
景
time.
発射準備完了。
I'm serious.
All systems are go for launch.
Okay. My timer's telling me that we are T-minus 70 seconds. So approaching 1 minute. Till liftoff.
打ち上げ2分前です。
Looks like Starship has been crowned. Oh, they said T-minus 2 minutes just a second ago? Okay, so my timer and my computer clock is a little bit off. So we're about 60 seconds off, which is fine. I hope so, Tessa. I hope so. $9:50:43. Oh, I got your patent. That's why I'm a minute off. It's 43. It's 43 seconds past 50th hour. Got it. Starship is a freaking monster, dude. So if Epsilon was next to Starship right now, and you put Epsilon's pad like next to Starship's, it would be about as tall as the OLM.
自動カウントダウンシーケンス開始。
Initiating the automatic countdown sequence.
62、61、60、59、58、57、56、55、54、53。
ロケットの電源が外部から内部に切り替えられました。
Epsilon 6 has been switched on the internal power.
46、45、44、43、42、41、40、39、38、37、36、35、34、33、32、31、30、29、28、27、26、25、
点火回路準備完了。
We have a go for pyrotechnics arming.
30.
18、17、
OBC シーケンスタイマースタート。
Initiating the onboard computer sequencer.
駆動用電池起動。
Activating thermal bodies.
SMSJ 点火。
Solid mode sidechar
They're
ignition.
heating up the igniter there. That's normal.
1、0、1、
Oh, there we go.
3、
第1弾点
There's a
火
lift.
リフトオフ。
First stage mode ignition and lift off.
7、8、
革新的衛星技術実証3号機 QPSR-3、QPSR-4 を搭載したイプシロンロケット6号機は2022年10月12日午前9時50分43秒に内之浦宇宙空間観測所から打ち上げられました。
Epsilon 6 with the innovative satellite technology demonstration 3, QPSR-3 and QPSR-4 on board lifted off from the Untitled Space Center at 9:43 a.m. October 12, 2022 Japan Standard Time.
What's the TWR? That's like 1.4, 1.5. It goes quick, man.
イプシロンロケット6号機は現在初期飛行方位角を 126.5 度とし徐々に南東方向の太平洋上へ飛行しています。
That was them. That was their cursor, not
Over the
mine.
Pacific Ocean to the southeast at an angle of 126.5 degrees.
打ち上げ後1分が経過しました。
1 minute into the flight.
Yeah, you thought somebody was counting down. The voice that's counting the numbers up, 112, 113, 114, that's it's AI. Yeah, it's just text to speech. Pretty crazy, right? Fooled you, didn't it?
各地上局は正常にロケットの追尾を行っております。
It's Japan. Of course they have a bot freaking saying the countdown. Duh.
第1弾燃焼終了。
First stage motor burnout.
First stage burn is complete. 2 kilometers a second. 92 kilometers in altitude. It's pretty. That looks right to me. The count is your new ringtone. I'm gonna turn that down. I know people. I don't care, but I know people are finding that annoying. So we'll just keep that on the down low.
衛星フェアリング分離。
Parallel pairing jettisons.
Okay, we got a good fairing jettison.
第1弾第2弾分離。
I want everybody to know that they flamed out the SRB and then they waited like 30 seconds to stage.
第2弾燃焼開始。
Second stage motor ignition.
Got a good ignition on the second stage.
打ち上げ後3分が経過しました。
It's 3 minutes into the flight.
Numbers going back up. 2.1 kilometers a second. Meanwhile, we got a good Starship stack over there on the left. It's good to know, Darius. I was looking at chat when it lifted off, so I didn't get to see it. I was guessing 1.4. I mean, 2.5 makes sense considering the power that first stage has.
Flight of Epsilon 6 is occurring normally. Current altitude is about 1
Keeping track of a lot of things right now, dude.
Velocity is about 2 kilometers per second.
Second stage, I'm pretty sure is an SRB as well, Tycon, yes. Hey, Adventum, what's going on? SpaceX does have a DJI drone up there looking at Starship, and we got a pretty good shot. It looks, everything, yeah, looks like it went together there.
280、81、82、83、84、85、86、
So, if they're trying to get into polar, like what Race 3 is trying to get into, Japan does a dogleg. They launch southeast first, and then that turns to launch south. The reason why they do that, actually, the rocket's going to turn almost to the southwest here. The reason why they do that is so they don't launch anywhere near Let's just say where people are. We'll call it a day.
5 minutes into the flight.
Yes, Christian, that's cool, I guess.
The flight of Epsilon 6 is nominal. Current altitude is about 210 kilometers. Velocity is about 4.8 kilometers per second.
What do they plan to do after stacking with 24? I'm not 100% on that one. Any Texas Tank Watchers fill me in on that one? Yeah, that little second stage pack's a punch dish, huh? Yeah, that way. There's a reason why they do a dog leg. I mean, okay, so the big reason is because you got Okinawa down here. I'm pretty sure that one's Okinawa. There's a lot of people there, and these are also really, really busy shipping lanes through here. So yeah, you want to go out and away from the shipping lanes as well as away from people. In terms of where they're launching from, that one is not off Tanegashima. It's not Tanegashima, it's a little bit north. If I had to guess, stack static fire, cryo test, and maybe another static fire. I'd bet money this isn't the stack to launch. Oh, Ian, I don't think this is the stack to launch. This has got to be for load testing. It's got to be for load testing, pressurizing first and second stage at the same time. Static firing, not ship 24. Uchinura is slightly north of Tanegashima. Hey. It looks like it's on mainland Kyushu, if I'm looking at that correctly. So once again, over here you have the Epsilon 6 Raise 3 mission. It's a rocket that just launched out of Japan. It's a small sat launcher launching a bunch of small CubeSats, and it's testing sensors. It has a bunch of sensors that could be made on like future satellites, and they're testing a bunch of them all at once on the Raise 3 satellite. Over there, you have Starship stacked. Ship 24 has crowned Booster 7 here out on the pad in Boca Chica, and kind of got a double box going here. Quick disconnect is moving on Starship. See this thing with the light on it? That is a quick disconnect that has pilot dowels on it, and it can kind of move around and find Starship's umbilical and then clamp to it, head crab style. How tall is the Japanese rocket? 26 meters tall. So you want a rough estimate of what that is in feet, Joe? It times it by 3. So 26 times 3 is 70, 78. It's about 80 feet tall.
本当に良かったですね。
いやー本当に今回も感動しました。
本当ですね。ちょっと雲もちょっと心配だったので。
そうでしたよね。
本当に今はもう安堵の気持ちも本当に良かったなっていう気持ちですね。
すごい音と光とともにすっと雲の中に飛んでいきましたね。このロケットの打ち上げ成功というのはどこまでいったら成功と言えるんでしょうか。
そうなんですね。実は今打ち上がったんですけれども、はい、先ほど管制室にいた運用者たちはまだまだ気が抜けないんですね。実はですね、ロケットというのは衛星を運ぶための、運び屋さんですので、衛星を目的の軌道に入れてこそのロケットですので、まだ衛星が分離するまで気が抜けないというのが今の状況です。
はい。それではですね、現在の飛行経路をライブ CG で確認してみます。こちらは現在の飛行状況のデータをほぼリアルタイムの CG で表現しているものです。画面上に現在進行しているイベントの名称、左にはイベントの進行状況、下には打ち上げからの経過時間、現在の速度、そして高度が表示されています。小谷さん、今予定通り、飛行していますでしょうか。
そうですね。南に向けて予定通り飛行中ですね。今現状ですね。そうですね。高度200キロぐらいで南海上を飛行中ですね。
はい。ではですね、もう一度打ち上げの時の様子をご覧ください。
Rocket. Yeah, replay of the rocket. I cannot speak Japanese. I get some words, but nope. So what they're doing right there, that smoke from when the SRB went off, guys, man, that thing went. That smoke is basically from them heating up the, if I'm remembering correctly, they heat up the propellants just for a second. They heat them up and then they ignite them. I'm pretty sure that smoke is the heater or some type of heating system that's starting to burn a little bit of the propellants and then they ignite them. They stage it like that. I know that some American SRBs do that as well. Which do you know more of, Japanese, Russian, Italian, or Finnish? Ooh. Italian's probably the one I know the most. It's Christian. Italian and Russian is behind that, and then Finland is behind that, and then I don't know, man. I went to Japan, dude. I started speaking Japanese when I was there, but I was only there for a week, so it was only like how to say like I want this, or you know, hi, how are you, or thank you very much, stuff like that. So, and dude, that was like 10 years ago, so I don't really remember much. But yeah, for the most part, Tessa, yep. Giant glow plug. Ship 24 lifted up a little bit. Yeah, I see it. Looks like they didn't get a good alignment there. They did lift up 24. So that was the Epsilon launch coverage. I'm pretty sure they're done over there. Good launch for JAXA there, and congratulations to everybody involved. We're going to switch back over to straight Starship coverage. Oh, hold on.
入ってきました情報によりますと、本日の打ち上げが中止となりました。大変申し訳ございませんが、ここでライブ中継を終了します。今入ってきた情報によりますと、本日の打ち上げが中止となりました。大変申し訳ございません。ここでライブ中継を終了いたします。詳しい情報は JAXA のウェブサイトでお伝えします。今入ってきた情報によりますと、本日の打ち上げは中止となりました。大変申し訳ございませんが、ここでライブ中継を終了します。詳しい情報は JAXA のウェブサイトでお伝えします。
Hold on a second here. When's the last time they showed?
リアルタイムの
南海上を
ライブ CG でもう一度下には打ち
So the last time we saw that rocket, it was going 4.84 kilometers a second, T plus 9 minutes 11 seconds at 198 kilometers. That's not enough. That's not enough. That's what that is. Fellas, let me just look at this real quick here. Hold on a second. Let me look at these numbers and look at the met time.
8km 続けており、
来ましたね。はい。
Scrubbing through. So the last time we saw it is at 4.84 kilometers a second, at T plus 911. That's way underperforming. That's way underperforming. 6.6? No, that needs to be 7.6. 7.6 kilometers a second is orbit. Scrub back, look at the altitude. Hold on a second, fellas. Hang on a minute. $177, $182, $188, $193, $200, $206, $210, $215, $219, $222, $225, $227, $230. Okay, altitude's still going up. Oh, shoot. Oh, no. 231, 230, 229. It hit apogee at 6.46. That's not good at all. That second stage shut off. SEP was 7 minutes in, no, so that telemetry is still the first stage. I'm not sure, Predominant. I'm not 100%. I know the ascent trajectory on Epsilon is a little strange. But these numbers, the second stage is not doing anything here. Second stage ain't firing. So you should start slowing down until 231, right? 4.77 at 231. And then if this number starts going down and that number starts going up, you got a problem. That means your second stage is not firing. 4.79, 225, 4.8 at 219, 4.81 at 215, 82 at 210. And then they switch to the replay. That's not good. Yeah, that's not good. Spacecraft, please, no riggedy wrecked. Yeah. Falls 72 months. See Loopy's last. What's Jonathan McDowell saying? Looks like Epsilon third stage may not have ignited. Altitude was falling at T plus 8 minutes. Yeah. That sucks. That sucks, man. Oh, I feel bad for them. That's no good. I should have caught it, guys. I'm sorry. I was a little... I'm usually better at watching the numbers than that, but I was watching that on the lab, so I'm not going to lie. I was watching Starship. Yeah, she didn't make it. 4.8 kilometers a second is not good enough, and it started speeding up when it went past apogee, so there's no third stage ignition there, which sucks, man. Do better. I'm trying, Factor. I'm trying, man. See, what tipped me off is that last thing that they said. So look at these faces here. When they said we're sorry. So in Japan, you know, I only went there for a week, so I ain't any expert, but you apologize if you fricked up. Like, yeah, that's the culture over there. You apologize if you really messed up. Like, really messed up. It's a very respectful culture over there. Very respectful. If you make a mistake, you best be owning up to it. So for the webcast, they don't apologize for a successful mission here. Also, she does not look very happy, and neither does the JAXA engineer that she's with. Look at that. That guy does not look happy. Yeah. Yeah, look at it. That guy does not look pleased. Oh, that sucks, man. The guy knows how much paperwork is incoming. Well, Dish, they wouldn't do that. So many faxes in his future. Man. The Japanese are basically Canadian Super Saiyans when it comes to politeness. It's a very... Hypersonic, when I went over there, like, don't get me wrong, I've only been over there for a week. I've never lived in Japan. I went there for a week. But, you know, I had one of my buddies who studied abroad over there, and his family comes from there. One of my best friends from, like, elementary school. That's who I went to Japan with, and he taught me a lot about it. It's very respectful. You have to be very respectful. Like, don't put your hands near your mouth. Keep your hands by your sides. Like, it's a very, like, dude, when you go there, you're like, oh... Okay. You have to be very respectful. Like, I was over there one time, and I was at my best friend's, we were at his cousin's house in Tokyo, right? It was I think it was in Nakano, if I'm remembering right. And, they didn't know what to make, so they made us chicken nuggets, because they're like, oh, they're American, we can give them chicken nuggets. I thought it was hilarious. And then, I didn't want to be a jerk, so I had to eat chicken nuggets and french fries with chopsticks. And I didn't want to... I was like, oh no. I gotta be very... I don't want to offend. I don't want to ask for a fork. Screw that. So I had to eat it, and then I dropped one. I dropped one when I was taking it out of the serving bowl, and I felt so bad. I apologize. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to drop it on the table. And they were like, no, it's cool. We appreciate it, but it's cool. We get it. I'm like, no. Like, I felt bad for doing that. I'm like, oh no. Why did I do Oh no, I dropped the damn chicken nugget. So, yeah, it was, phenomenal. It was pretty cringe.
Discovery,
it was pretty
go and
cringe.
throttle up.
Yeah, I felt really bad for dropping a chicken nugget. They were like, huh? And I'm like, oh. You just, sorry. No, mission failed. We'll get him next time. Were they good? Yeah. Chicken nuggets, dude. Was that before or after the old guy drank you under the table? Oh, that was the night before, Lulin. Yeah, that was the night before. It's also very disrespectful to refuse a drink when it's offered to you. And my buddy, as a joke, he thought it'd be funny to tell his grandpa that over there that I am a big sake fan. Now, that's not a lie, but Akabidi, thanks for the resub. Now, that's not a lie, but also we went out for dinner with his grandparents, who are also from Nakano, and he comes up to me at the beginning of the night and he goes, EJ, I heard that you like a sake. And I'm like, oh, shnikes. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I got drank under the table by a 95-pound Japanese man. That's the end of the story. That's where it ends. I don't want to talk about it anymore. 16 frigging rounds. 16 rounds. I don't remember that night. I don't remember. Dude, if my friend was here, he'd vouch for 16 rounds of freaking sake. I'm like, oh God.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
And he was fine. He was fine. And to be fair, I was fine until we took the train home. Okay? Until we took the train home. I was good. I was like, I walked out of the bar. I'm like, oh man, sake ain't too bad. The thing about sake is that it breaks late. It breaks late. You can drink a ton of it, you won't get drunk, and then it all hits you all at once. Anybody who drinks sake knows what I'm talking about. The last thing I remember was taking the train home. Taking the train back to Shinjuku, right? And I don't remember anything after that. I woke up the next day in my hotel room face down on the floor. And I talked to my buddy, I'm like, dude, what happened? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay. And I was just thinking about it. I'm like, okay, we got on the train. And I go, the last thing I remember is the train going into a tunnel. And he's like, a tunnel? I'm like, yeah, a tunnel. And he goes, dude, we were on an elevated train. I'm like, what? The whole way? And he's like, yep. I'm like, oh. Oh. Yep, I fell over on the train. Blacked out on the train. That's good. Oh. I wish that story was fake. Yep. I wish that story was fake. Sake was great though. Yeah, but I got drank under the table by a 95-pound Japanese man. Yep. Okay. Yep. It's great. I gotta go find those pictures. I'll show you. Seeing reports that the flight termination system command was sent to Epsilon. Yeah. So it looks like the Epsilon rocket was not. Didn't end very well, dudes. I wish I were a bird. What do you mean? That story's awesome. Getting drank under the table by Japanese men. Not cool, man. Yeah. Yeah, it was a great night. And then after visited my buddy's cousin's house, we went back with Grandpa, and we went to a sushi bar, and I ate stuff that made me not like seafood permanently. I never do it again. It ruined it for me. It ruined it. I see the thread, Joe. Thank you. He had years of practice. Yep. Probably thinks you're a boss. Jim, he's no longer with us anymore. This was 10 years ago. The guy was like 92. Oh yeah, did I fail to mention that? A 92-year-old Japanese man that couldn't weigh more than 100 pounds. I got drank 16 rounds of sake. 16. And I couldn't not accept it. He's like, oh, time for another round. I'm like, oh, damn it. You had uni, dude. I don't want to remember that night. Some of the, except sea urchin, dude. We had sea urchin. There was sea cucumber. There was all kinds of stuff. Fish eggs. Like it was, dude. It ruined seafood permanently. It ruined it permanently. Thing is that, you know, the sushi also ruined seafood permanently for me. I can't have sushi over here. It doesn't taste like that. We were in a high class place. It was at the top of a skyscraper. I can't eat sushi. The sushi over here sucks. Again, I'm not that big of a sushi eater, but also, like, Tessa, it just reminds me of that. Dude, that sea urchin was disgusting. But here's the thing: you want to be respectful. You gotta eat it. You want to be respectful. I'm like, okay. This is great. I love this. The sushi ruins seafood in a good way. There's just... No. Hard pass. Oh, boy. That sea urchin was disgusting. It was disgusting. How could... Nope. Nope. Hard pass. What we get in the U.S. isn't sushi. No, it's not. That sushi was delicious. It was like... It was delicious. And I don't even like fish that much to begin with. I like cow and pig. And chicken. Like, I'm not even that big of a sushi fan. The sushi was amazing. Raw squid. I forget if we had squid, but it was... I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. This is a Dutch snack. That's... Okay. You just need to get some good old deep fried battered Scottish haddock and chips. I'd probably eat that, Tessa. Yeah, I'd be good with that. Ugh. Man, I'm just like thinking about it. So once again, it seems like the Epsilon 6 third stage didn't go, which really sucks. That's not cool, and that's why we're talking about Japan. It looks like they had a failure, which that sucks, man. I should have caught it. I missed it. I missed the numbers going down, but it definitely coasted the. So they were aiming for third stage ignition at T+7 minutes, but they ended up hitting apogee about 230 kilometers, going about 4.8 kilometers a second, and then the speed started increasing and the altitude started going down, which means you're past apogee, which means you got no ignition. So it did burn up, which really sucks. That sucks, man. But it's just a test satellite, so I'm sure Epsilon will be back. Oh, Wagyu creation. I ate the heck out of Wagyu. That was from the Sake night. I had Wagyu that night. It was amazing. It was amazing. A flourish for the show. You're drinking at the table by a man who was older than what he weighed. Dude, I'm serious, Aqualexi. This guy was tiny. I'll show you a picture of me standing next to him. Like, I mean, I'll have to... I'm gonna, I'd get rid of the dude's face, but... blur that out because and my buddies too. The 6th rocket was launched, but the third stage ignited night. We are waiting to find out the cause. Ah, that sucks. C-Nick and Sweeney Sweet is an awesome shot of the stack. All right, man, what do we got? ABP got updated. That's good to know. Mother of pearl. Look at that. Oh. We had eel that night. Bye. Yeah, it was. I don't know what kind of eel it was. Yep. I didn't puke though, so that's good. But also, Nick's got that HDRI cranked. Am I right or am I right? Nice exposure. It's a great shot. It's a great shot from Nick. Unbelievable. So guys, if just joining in, we were covering the Epsilon 6 launch, but apparently it failed to make orbit, which really sucks. That's not fun. But we are watching Starship being stacked here. Did I try Geoduck? Is that a Pokemon? Can we buy shots like that off NSF? I'm pretty sure you can, yeah. I mean, Farm, she's a beast, dude. Look at this thing. She's a freaking beast, man. It's just... How much thrust do you want? Yeah? Yes? The halo effect in the mist is awesome. Yeah, it's not bad. Oh, 619, I'm not sure. You'd have to... Dude, contact Nick. I'm sure he'll make a print for you. That's how those boys make money. All the men and women that do launch photography, they all make money from people buying their prints, dude. Go buy some from Nick. And you know what? While we're plugging launch photographers, John Krause, Trevor Malman, those guys, real good. Derek Newsom, who watches the stream, that's my buddy Vulcan. He takes a lot of pictures. And then Maturo, Matt, the Twitch streamer, he takes pictures. If you go and support those guys, they can keep taking good pictures. You know, like. I'll get it for you, 6. Here. How many Raptors are on this? Well, Farm, we got 6 on the second stage, 3 vacuum optimized, 3 sea level optimized Raptors. So 3 and 3 on the second stage on Starship, and then there is 33 on the first stage. 33. Yeah, so there's 39 total. Ken Krummer's a great photographer. Yeah. I decorated my bathroom in your house with John Krause photos. You call it the Flame Trench. I get... Okay. All right. It's a costly profession. I know a thing or two. Yeah, Joe. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, Paul. That's good. Good call. I might steal that and I might just call my bathroom that. What? Make sure the flamey end is down. Guys, we were just watching the Epsilon launch. Is a toilet with a bidet just a toilet deluge system to quench the flame, to purge the gases? It's a noise suppressor. Yep. Sound suppression system. Yep. Why does that make sense? It's just... So, do you... I don't know why I'm continuing this train of thought. Do you think if we were made like a high-powered rocket or something, we're doing HPR, that we could give it a sound suppression system by launching it and having a toilet bowl be the flame trench? I mean, it might M80 the toilet bowl. If you know, you know. Okay. Also, yes, toilet launch mount, please. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Loopy, it's actually not a bad idea. We could take the toilet seat hinges and make an erector for... Why does that work? What? Oh, Of course that works. Of course it would work. Why wouldn't it? Okay. What happened to your porta potty idea? I forgot about that. The porta potty launch pad, it's genius. It's gonna be revolutionary, Aqualux. Where do you get these ideas, dude? I don't know. How much thrust per Raptor? Farm, let me do a couple of unit conversions here. Give me 1 second. Let's see. So each Raptor makes about 540,000 pounds of thrust, farm, and there's 33 of them in the first stage. We're talking like 15 million pounds of thrust coming out of the business end of this thing. Yeah. Sell it to Johnny Knoxville. Yep. Yes. Yeah. Hi, I'm EJ, and welcome to the Eric Johnson Space Administration. Bow now now. That's a great song, dude. Yeah, Rocket Guy, you seeing that? That's it's pretty neat. Now say it with real numbers. 2,400 kilonewtons per Raptor, making 72 meganewtons of thrust at liftoff. Would a door hinge work as a launch pad erector? I don't see why not. How much do Raptors cost again? No word on cost, Sile. I have no idea. What is that in 747s? One Raptor makes more thrust than a 747 at full throttle. One Raptor. So this is like 50 747s worth of thrust, probably. That's just napkin math off the top of my head. I'm probably wrong. It's probably more, but you know. Okay, but what about football fields? Why are we converting? How are we going to convert force to surface area? Any Timberborn today? Yeah, go back in the VOD, Dadu. I played it for 8 hours, and then we covered Starship, and you guess what? I'm probably going to go play it again after this. Use pi. I guess I don't understand the Imperial system. Okay. Apparently you don't understand the difference between surface area and thrust, or net force, or not a net force, just force and surface area. That something that is agnostic to measuring system. Iron. I'm just putting it out there. You're not comparing miles to kilometers here. You're comparing like miles to like meters a second, which is those are nope. One of those is distance, the other one's acceleration. Like it doesn't matter if you're using imperial or metric. Those are two different things. No? All right. Force and surface area. Pressure. Taro. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right. Wouldn't it be 100 yards, Krillani, by 50 yards? Isn't a football field 50 yards wide? Or no, I forget. I don't even remember. Yeah, Sesh, you're actually right. Sorry. Yeah. $33 Raptor 2s equal about 18.5747s. Nice. That's why I call it napkin math, Dave. You suppose SpaceX will use its ISS docking guidance system or something similar to automatically stack Starship in the future? They're definitely going to find a way to do it automatically, Hellfish, for sure. It'll just restack it by itself. But I'm pretty sure that it's not. It doesn't. ISS docking derived is way. You don't need that. That's overkill for what you're doing here. Google Math is only a small step up. There's that damn bird again. Here's Priest Barbers. It's one of those flying birds again. Don't tell me my business, devil chat. Call the fire department. This one's out of control. It's that drone again. Drones don't exist. This is the best night of my life. Wondering where the docking port for Starship will be. Well, on HLS T-Man, it's going to be up at the front. There's no need for a nose cone because HLS is not a re-entry vehicle. It is a lunar lander. There's no thermal protection system, so the docking port is up at the front, supposedly. So you're saying we need to get EJ to learn MATLAB. How are you gonna say? And I don't know, man. With Starship, like just kind of run-of-the-mill Starship, I always assumed it would kind of be on the top. It would probably be riding in the payload bay. I'm like almost convinced that SpaceX is just gonna put like half of a space shuttle payload bay in Starship's payload bay. Like it would be like if you took the shuttle payload bay, you cut that thing in half, and you put it inside of Starship's payload bay. I'm like latching system and everything. I'm pretty dang sure. And by pretty dang sure, I mean I have no idea what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? MATLAB? No. What are you doing? No. When are you doing code with KSP again? Tomorrow. I mean, the shuttle wrote the book, dude. It wrote the book on being able to make a reusable payload fairing, right? Like that's the shuttle program. You have 30 years of research and development on that. Are the wings? Hold on. No, that's just me. All right. So, I mean, SpaceX would be... I mean, they're making a payload bay. Starship has a payload bay, and it's got to be reusable. It's got to be similar to the shuttle. They'd be kind of crazy to not at least go and raid NASA's archive on shuttle payload bay systems. Like, also, SpaceX is like... SpaceX has Bill Gerstenmaier over there. Gerstenmaier ran NASA's human spaceflight program for, like, a long time. He's a 30-year shuttle vet. The guy that's kind of overseeing Starship engineering, I mean, other than Elon himself, is a 30-year shuttle vet. I'm pretty dang sure they're going to use something similar. Manita, nice. Drone? Drones don't exist. It's a bird. That's a bird. Can't you see its wings flapping? What kind of things would SpaceX be using for their test simulations? They use, last time I checked, Sile, and I have no idea if this is still a thing. Last time I checked, they were using NX for their simulations. Which, yeah, I think. It's probably not that anymore. I thought birds aren't real. Well, that one is a bird. Because it's man-made. Birds don't exist. You see it? See it over there? It's man-made because birds don't exist. So that's a bird right there. That's not a drone. The birds are drones. That's a bird right there. And anytime you see something that looks like a bird, it's a drone. Wake up, chat. I really hope nobody thinks I'm serious right now. It's possible that I may have oversold that. It was a joke. No, don't leave. Where you going? Ah. You think they'll come back? No. Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I just noticed EJ doesn't have channel points. I don't think I've seen any other channels without it. It's distracting, Jim. It distracts the hell out of me in chat, and I hate it, and it pushes my buttons, and I don't like it. It's hard enough for me to keep up with chat. Sorry, just got here. Hey, watching, welcome! Welcome to EJ's stream. This is Starship and stuff. Please don't leave. I don't think so, Sile. Those grid fins are a little bit bigger than your coffee table. Go outside and look at your vehicle if you have a car or a truck or whatever. Let me put it this way: if you have a small crossover SUV, like pretty much any light duty vehicle nowadays, like a Ford Escape or something, yeah, that's about the size of the grid fin. Yeah, it's pretty big. I asked Reboot, you asked Nick for a link to a purchase and print, and he sent me this. Oh, money, dude. You know what? I'm probably gonna buy one of those. Yeah. A 24 by 36. 16 by 20. 16 by 24. Okay. 12 by 18. Why is such weird sizes? Yeah, here. Yeah, Reboot, I will put that. Paul's like, flame trench! Yeah, I'll put that right there, and you know, come to think of it, my office could use some pictures. We could use some pictures of rockets in here. It's a good idea. These are standard photo print sizes. I was going to say, like 11 by 17, 18 by 24, and 24 by 36. But that's 12 by 18 and 16 by 24. But, yeah, whatever. It don't matter. 24 by 36. Oh, that looks sick. Yeah, dude, go and support him. Look at that freaking picture, man. Look at that freaking picture. Guy got up in the middle of the night, take pictures of this thing. Pay him. Aside from docking angles, what problem would have to be overcome for a Starship ISS reboost? I'd be worried about load being induced on the pressurized mating adapter, Aqualux. It's not designed. Well, actually, you know what? It is designed to do that because the shuttle boosted the station. At least I think it did. But I think I could be pulling this out of my tail. I'm pretty sure when the shuttle went to boost the station, they were just firing the nose thrusters. Just the nose thrusters, not the bottom thrusters, because the whole thing was bent. So I think the PMA is load rated. I mean, it has to be, because PMA 1 connects Zarya to Unity, right? So it has to be load rated for that, because they boost the station from the Russian side. So I don't know. I'd assume you'd probably be worried about loads, but I don't know what those loads would be, Aqualux. I have no idea. That's what I'd be like about. You also got to be careful. Okay, so the ISS has that keep out sphere, right? But a lot of people, you remember we were watching Crew 5, the approach corridor? So the V-bar approach and the R-bar approach. Those approach windows are the only place you can outgas near the station. That's the only places you can fire RCS. And if you fire RCS going out of that corridor, it has to be away from the space station. So Starship's aft thrusters might be outside of that corridor, which is why, if I'm remembering correctly, they only use the nose thrusters because that's inside of the approach corridor. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that. I may have just dreamt it. That could be wrong. So take that one with a grain of salt. How about a boost package in the trunk of Dragon for cargo deliveries? They don't have any trunk cargo. Yeah. I don't think the trunk is designed to carry cargo when people are flying, Pythos. Because Dragon has two different trunks for cargo and crew, you know what I'm saying? But then again, Jared Isaacman has basically hinted that, basically all but confirmed that Dragon is going to somehow get to Hubble. And if they were going to get to Hubble, believe it or not, they would not have a boost package in the trunk. The trunk would have the docking port, and they'd back up and latch onto the Hubble's grapple fixture and then boost it with Dragon's forward thrusters. Oh, don't do that to me. Ernock, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. How big is Dragon's trunk compared to a human? It's 3.7 meters in diameter. By picture, I mean high. No. Look at me. It is my money now. I will choose how to spend it. I'll see what I can do. The cold gas ullage thrusters on Starship would be mild enough to maybe do the job. Yeah, but I don't... Yeah, Jack, but they're outgassing the tank. Well, actually, no. It does have cold gas nitrogen, if I'm remembering right. I mean, I don't see why it couldn't do it. The docking port would have to be in the right place, though. But you got to be careful. There's that keep out sphere, and then there's the V-bar and the R-bar approaches. You don't outgas outside of those things. There's a very good reason why, and they did this. They did the NASA actually. You know, while we're here, NASA actually did a lot of studies with this when Space Station Freedom was still a thing. Space Station Freedom morphed into the ISS because NASA's budget got destroyed in the early 90s. Cold War ended. What do you want? There is footage floating around of simulation, like late 80s simulation of outgassing on parts of Space Station Freedom. Give me 1 second. I'll find it. Man, I wish they did that. Look at this freaking thing. This isn't the footage that I'm looking for, but also... God. Gosh. Dang, future 80s space is so cool. I mean, look at this freaking thing. Could you just outgas through the engines to boost the station? Think spin prime, but not long duration. I would not risk doing that at all, Katra. Hell no. No way. That's way too dangerous. I mean, you saw what happened to 7, right? It'll find a source of ignition, man. Don't do it. I gotta find the dang thing. There's simulation out there. No. Oh, here we go. Dynamic analysis for Space Station Freedom. I found it. Yeah, there you go. So this technology pretty much found its way onto the ISS. A lot of Space Station Freedom was repurposed because the project was half done and then they canceled it and then they replaced it with the ISS. Go figure. I heard this story before. Hey, football fields! All right. See, that's what happens if you outgas in the wrong place. See that? You put a lot of what's it called? Bending force, shear force on the truss segment. Computers. Yeah, the whole space station can do that if you outgas in the wrong direction. This is why you have approach corridors, and this is part of the reason why they came up with this baseline truss segment, the design that made its way into the ISS. There's a very good reason why the solar panels are out on the ends, because when the shuttle was going to come to dock to it, if they put solar panels near it, the shuttle would blast the solar panels when it was docking and undocking, and the solar panels would do this. So they said, why don't we just take the solar panels and put them on the ends? And that's exactly what they did. And then NASA in the late 80s was doing dynamic analysis on what happens if you outgas next to these things. So the solar panels are basically cloth. The big solar panels that are up on the ISS, they're basically cloth. And they can weeble wobble around. They will literally catch the thrust from an incoming vehicle, and it can cause this shearing effect on the space station. Files are in the computer? It's so simple. Yeah, see? Here you go. Look. So the ISS has to flap its wings in order to stay in orbit. Yes, yeah, sure. See what I mean? This is why they put the solar panels out. This is why they moved them away, for this exact reason. They're way out on the ends. Axiom doesn't seem to use the truss. Axiom isn't docking space shuttles, are they? This is why you have the approach corridors for the ISS. It's actually pretty smart. Just keep the solar panels away from the vehicles so they don't damage them. Would that impart delta V if the panels flex? Yeah, of course, Jem. It's putting force on these things. But that force is coming in the way of shearing force on the truss segment. So that space station weeble wobbling around will change its orbit, absolutely. Oh, there's the dual keel design. I don't want to talk about this. It's upsetting. It's just damn upsetting. So NASA wanted to make a horizontal truss segment, but they also wanted to make vertical truss segments. The reason why they wanted to make vertical truss segments: build spaceships. And Space Station Freedom was going to go in a similar orbit that Hubble is in. So if the shuttle goes up there and they're able to basically use the shuttle's payload bay, the shuttle docks here, and then you have basically a remote manipulator system riding around on rails that can go up and down these truss segments and around like this, right? The shuttle can go here, and then the shuttle can dock where it would dock on the ISS, and then this robotic arm would be able to get underneath it, grab the payload, and you could stage a vehicle down here. You could build a vehicle, tether it. and build it right here. And if the shuttle was going to be able to build tugs, on-orbit tugs, like that one right there, well, guess what that thing is? Hubble Servicing Bay. They basically, because Space Station Freedom is going to be in the same orbit as Hubble, you could just go get it. You just go get Hubble. Instead of just sending the shuttle right to do a servicing mission, right? You could send the shuttle, and the shuttle could tow it to the space station, and then they could park it in a hangar, and then fix it and do a lot of work on it right there, just like they were doing in EVA on the space station. It's a lot safer than trying to fly up and, you know, work on it up where it ended up, where it ended up going. I mean, don't get me wrong. The shuttle going and grabbing it and then bringing it to the ISS is kind of a more complicated mission. But I always say with spaceflight, you know, like, if you had a servicing bay for this, that means you could take the satellite fully offline instead of like trying to do open heart surgery on the satellite. But then again, you could do the same thing with the shuttle, which is why that's what they ended up doing instead of doing this. Once again, when Space Station Freedom's, when NASA's budget started getting just crapped on in the late 80s, early 90s, they got rid of this concept. This concept was supposed to be able to build transfer vehicles and orbital tugs to go out to the moon again. Never did that. Yeah, Ian, that's, you imagine shuttle goes up, all it needs to do is grab the satellite, they bring it back here, this thing pulls the satellite out, brings it up there, puts it in there, and then they could just leave it there. You could take the thing completely offline. It's a clean room in space. Yeah, the doors open like the VAB on the front. They slide up, and it's a little clean room. That's what they wanted to do. You can service a satellite in there. No, it wasn't pressurized, but it's a clean room, so you don't have to worry about, if you have the guts of the satellite open, you don't need to worry about it getting hit by anything. And you could do even more maintenance on the dang thing because you don't need to keep it powered. So you can fold up its solar panels again, right? And then just throw it in there. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to do on-orbit satellite servicing with this thing. And the idea was that would serve a commercial market too. NASA could use the space shuttle for a commercially launched satellite. They could go rope the satellite, bring it back to Space Station Freedom, and you could fix it or sell it. That's the ideas that NASA wanted to do with the shuttle. They actually did retrieve a satellite from a commercial provider. A satellite that failed to go into orbit. It got into orbit. It got into its parking orbit, but then the stage didn't ignite. They went and got it, and they brought it back down and sold it. And another launch provider bought the satellite and then launched it again on a different rocket. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, man. You could do stuff like this. That's what they wanted to do with the space shuttle. It's an extremely potent launch vehicle. And you know what the best part is? That thing can do everything that I just said. So, Aqualex, to answer your question, what's stopping Starship from being able to boost and move the ISS around? Nothing. Just the analysis. You'd have to do some analysis on it. I'd assume it would be pretty similar to the space shuttle. Starship is bigger than a space shuttle, but it's not that much bigger than a space shuttle. It's not like it's not like you're putting like a whole SLS core near the space station, right? Well, that was the whole idea, Hunster. The idea is that the shuttle was going to be able to build cities in space. You know, the shuttle basically launches once a week. They wanted to, they wanted to do all kinds of stuff, man. How do they weld it? Weld what? I think so, Hunster. That makes sense. Starship is about the size of the ET. Yes. Starship is about the size of the shuttle's external tank. Super Heavy is about the size of an SLS core. That's very strange, Forge. Though an SLS core tank should be used to expand the station. Put a refuelable ion drive in it so it can boost the station too. Hellfish, that's basically what the kind of stuff that they want to pioneer with Gateway. The European Space Agency is working on the Esprit module, and the Esprit module is basically designed to do exactly what you're saying. Yeah. But I agree with you. I mean, dude, I would prefer just SLS core stage by itself. No need to... Docking it to the ISS would be really, really difficult. Screw that. Just on orbit. NASA wants the easy space station. On orbit lab. The SLS core stage will make it. Make the LOX tank into a wet workshop. Or better yet, dude, you don't even need to do that. Just put an empty hydrogen tank on top of the SLS stack, and then put a Block 1B fairing on top of that and an Orion on top of that. Basically, put a LOX tank where the EUS is supposed to be, and literally make a Skylab, and then Orion will separate from it. The USA will open, and you have a docking adapter, and then it'll pull it up, and Orion could boost it into space. It's not... I would do that. I think that's honestly simpler than trying to attach something to the ISS. You know, I mean, screw me. Personally, I think NASA, this is one of EJ's armchair opinions, and this isn't really that much of a scientific benefit, more so do it because we can. I think NASA should find a way to get Starship to bring the ISS back down. The hell with deorbiting the station. No. Deorbit it in pieces inside of a payload bay, inside a Starship. What do you got to lose? Seriously, what do you got to lose? SpaceX gets to test down mass capability with their vehicle. They get more missions to fly. NASA's going to abandon the space station anyway. They might as well try to bring some components back. Who cares if they don't land? The space station remote manipulator system should be able to bring those modules, should be able to attach the modules in Starship's payload bay and just literally do the reverse. Literally do the reverse of the ISS assembly. And if Starship is carrying a shuttle-like payload bay, should be pretty, okay. I'm like, oh, it should be pretty easy to do. No, none of this is easy. None of that is easy. And NASA probably won't even want to risk. They won't even want to risk it. Especially if people are on board the ISS. But also at the same time, you know, they had to start the ISS with skeleton crews, so they could end it with skeleton crews too. Check SpaceX's Twitter. Check SpaceX's Twitter. Check SpaceX's Twitter. Check SpaceX's Twitter. Oh. This footage. Yeah, guys, watch like right in this area here. See, watch right here. This is from the Intelsat 3334 launch the other day. Watch this. Oh, they got us the footage. Oh my goodness. There's the first stage up there. See the first stage? That little dot up there. Oh! Oh, there was the entry burn. And then the sky should light up for the landing burn. Ready? That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Considering that right here, that's the first stage. That is the thing that's coming down to land. And it's going to do supersonic retro propulsion here. Ready? Boop. That's pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. Even better? What's that, Thomas? I mean, that's pretty cool. I don't hate that. Yeah, oh. Hey. It's just, oh. I had to step in for Standard Brain today. Standard Brian today. He was busy building rockets elsewhere in the plan, and I can neither confirm nor deny rumors that I was seen hugging this Blue Origin BE-4 flight engine. Just... oh. That's Tori Bruno with the The business. Tori's showing us the business. He's showing us the goods, chat. Showing us the business, man. ULA confirms Vulcan won't launch until 2023, with major implications for the national security launch. Vulcan has to fly twice to be certified for the national security launch. First national security launch mission assigned to Vulcan, SF-106, could slip into 2024 based off of these developments. Oh, sorry, that's pretty funny to me. Forge, that's funny. You know why that's funny? It's funny because... It's funny because people are like, oh, but it's gonna slip. It's gonna slip because though they have to fly 2 launches. They have to fly 2 launches before they have to fly 2 launches to certify the vehicle and make sure the vehicle's good. They have to fly 2 launches, so it's going to delay. And like people say, oh, that's their rules, not ours. Not fully understanding that the people that said you need to launch 2 times are the ones that literally make your launch commit criteria. So they can, if they're making up the rules, they can just change the rules. They can just change the rules. Like, the National Security Space Systems contract says Vulcan needs to fly 2 demo missions before it moves a national security mission. The people that made that up are the Space Force and the National Reconnaissance Office, right? So basically, anything for NSSL. If ULA and Space Force, or ULA and the ULA and the Department of Defense can both come to concurrence and say that it only needs 1, or it doesn't need any flights before moving a national security payload, they could just change the rules. As long as you have a mutual agreement between contractual stakeholders, you could just change the rules. It's not like concrete. It's not set in stone. And that's why I find it funny, because folks go around and say, oh, well, Vulcan's never going to fly, Vulcan's never going to do this, Vulcan's never going to do. You don't realize that if they come to a contractual agreement or a mutual agreement on changing the stipulations of the contract, they can launch it right now if they want to. Like, that's how a contract works. Like, no? Am I wrong, or? Everything is a la carte here. Everything is contractual. And if it's one thing that I learned from buying a house, if everything is contractual, everything is negotiable. And if you want to reopen negotiations, you can do that as long as both parties agree to do it. You say like, oh, Vulcan must fly 2 times before its Space Force mission. Yeah, they don't. No, it doesn't. And you could say, oh, EJ, how can you be so sure about that? I'm pretty damn sure they're doing parallel processing for the BE-4 right now. Tori Bruno was very, very transparent on saying that they're doing acceptance testing and qualification testing before the flight engines are even made. They were doing parallel testing. They already changed the rules for BE-4 procurement. Why wouldn't they change it for the launch as well? I mean, it's just a thought exercise. I don't know. These people could be right. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'll tell you if I'm wrong. Nice shot, Joe. Going through the clouds. Already been linked 95. Yeah, I saw it, dude. You see the first stage coming down? That's pretty bruh. Pretty poggers. Yeah, exactly, W. They refuse that waiver for Falcon Heavy. They need 2 operational flights, not counting the demo, to be certified. I said the rules are changeable and they can be changed depending on needs, and you just recited the same rules that I said are changeable. Okay. Are you serious? I just told you that a moment ago. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Just fly a dummy payload for the customer if the payload isn't ready if it comes down to it. NSS money's make it worth it. Yep. Where are the aliens hiding? I know you got them. Chopsticks, they're actually below the surface. They're not in space. Go find a geology stream and heckle them. Crab people are down there, not up there. What are you, crazy? Jess, come on. Do better. Do better. SMH my head. Where's Tori Bruno's comment on this? Crab people. Crab people. It's in the tweet in front of you. Oh, all right. I'm looking for a tweet from Tori Bruno, not a quote from. Peregrine isn't ready by quarter 1, 2023. ULA would replace it with a dummy payload. Bruno said, I can easily wait through all of quarter 1 if I need to. I'm reluctant to wait longer than that. See what I mean? They could just... Everything is negotiable. Everything's changeable. He could just launch with a dummy payload. Launch 2 of them with a dummy payload. He still makes money. It doesn't matter. Or if him and Space Force come to agreement after the first dummy payload mission that it's enough data to validate that the vehicle is safe for national security payload, they'll just say do it. That's what I mean. The Department of Defense is involved here. They're the ones that make the rules. And how many times have you tried to hold the rule makers to the rules, or they just change the rules when you got them with an aha? You know what I'm saying? Aha, you can't do that. No, it's just change the rules. As long as both parties can agree to a mutual decision with amending a contract, you can do that. That's fine. See what I'm saying? Like, you know, everybody's like, oh, it's not going to fly, it's not going to fly, you know, Vulcan has to launch 2 times before... Dude, no, it doesn't. It really doesn't. That's what the current contract says. There are waivers for everything. That's what I'm trying to say. You can't hold the people that make the rules to the rules, especially when the rules are contractual. You know what I mean? Like, you just change the contract. Easy peasy. Now, SpaceX might have something to say about that if they do, right? But that's something you got to take into account. I'm sad that this will never happen. What's that? Maybe the plan works out, but I will seriously... Elon Musk says, oh yeah, this tweet. I will seriously eat my hat with a side of mustard if that rocket flies a national security spacecraft before 2023. I've altered the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further. Guys, I don't think we're seeing much more action here. I think she's stacked. I'm wondering if they're going to attach the umbilical, though. They might, but SpaceX might be done for the night, dude. Past closure time. The High Bay Bar Lounge looking pretty cool up there. Yeah, I think so, Predominant. All right, cool. Well, we saw them stack and we saw the Epsilon launch in. That's pretty cool. Okay. Elon shouldn't say that. Bad track record of hat eating happening in spaceflight recently. Yeah. It's what's that, Predominant? Astronautical. Unit 6 has unfortunately... Epsilon 6 failed. Oh, no. Has been destroyed from the ground. Flight termination system. This is the first command destruction of a JAXA rocket since the H2A number 6 in 2003. I hope they can overcome this failure and lead to the next improved model. Oh, no. That sucks, man. Yeah, it looks like Epsilon 6 didn't... What is this? What am I looking at here, Forge? Yak-36 Freehand, an early 60s Soviet VTOL. Unlike various other designs, the Yak-36 relied solely on its R-27 turbojets to achieve lift. Exhaust vectored forwards through the centerline rod to provide balancing thrust. The aircraft provided a basis for the Yak-38's lift system. Wait, what? There's a tap off through the nose. Yeah. Okay. No, Yuri, that's RCS. Yeah, it's RCS. That's a plane reaction control system. So some planes, like that Yak-36 right there, which never saw its way into service, right, have RCS. They use a tap off from the combustors. Or not the combustors. They use a tap off post-compressor pre-combustor. So a jet engine has your compressor, you have a pressurized plenum, and that plenum has holes in it, and the holes go into the combustors. And then the combustors, you have that pressurized air coming in, it depresses into the combustor, and then they spray fuel in there, and then it goes out the back. It goes through the turbines and then jet out the back, right? So think like a pressure line attached post-compressor pre-combustor. It's called a tap-off. Airplanes use that, what's called bleed air. That's what it's called. Some airplanes use bleed air for reaction control systems. It looks like the Yak is doing that. There, see this kind of weird looking thing on the side panel right there? It's RCS. That's a reaction control system for the airplane. There's one on the back. See it right there? And then there's a similar one on the front. And this has one big honking engine right here. And the thrust that comes out of the engine is through two vectorable jets. Think like a Harrier, because this was designed to kind of compete with the Harrier from what I can tell here. The Harrier does something similar to this, but the Harrier is a much more refined design than this thing. I see what it's doing.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
That's RCS. It's a reaction control system. Yeah. It basically vents the bleed air depending on what you're doing with the stick. Harriers do that. That's how they were able to get the thing to work so well. But Harriers, why is that? Really? Really, Toyota? All right. Okay. Harriers do it a little bit differently. Harriers are actually, they are, I'm telling you, man, the Brits that came up with this were cream of the crop, dude. This is about as smart as you can get. Talk about using everything to your advantage. So a Harrier has one engine in it. One engine. It's a Pegasus. It's called a Pegasus, a Rolls-Royce Pegasus motor. And the Pegasus is a high bypass turbofan. Okay? So what's a high bypass turbofan? Okay, so a high bypass turbofan has, exactly as the name implies, has a high volume of air being bypassed around the jet engine. It's a jet engine with a ducted fan attached to the front. You have two turbines. You have two turbo shafts here, or two shafts here. The inner shaft right here, or the N2 shaft, if you're a pilot, is your jet engine. You have a jet engine. So you have this particular thing, it's a 7-stage axial compressor. You have post-compression, pre-combustor. The combustor is right here where it starts to get bigger. And then you have two turbines. After the explosion here, you get a hot gas is ejected and it spins those turbine wheels, which spin the compressor, like a turbocharger on a car. A turbocharger on a car is a turbojet without the combustor because the engine's doing the combustion. Okay? After that, those gases get shot through a secondary set of turbines. This is 4 axial turbines right here. And those 4 axial turbines are on the green shaft right here. The green is the N1 shaft. The N1 is attached to 3 compressors here to take the total to a 10-stage axial compression going into the jet. But it's also attached to this big freaking fan at the front, this big ducted fan at the front. That's what the spinny part that you see on a jet engine nowadays, okay? So a Harrier uses that to hover. Why? Why would it use that to hover? How the heck are you going to do that? The bypass. The bypass is the key. Pegasus engines are basically, they're not a high bypass turbofan, but they're actually about equal. It's like a medium bypass turbofan. The same amount of thrust is coming out of this fan as is coming out of the jet engine. It's like kind of a medium bypass turbofan, I guess, right? And then the Harrier has that bleed air that I'm talking about. If you look, here's the crazy thing about the Harrier, okay? This is an early model, but the point still stands. Harriers have 4 jets. 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 on the other side. There's 4 jets, and these are variable nozzles that can move up and down, right? They can move 90 degrees. You can see its range of movement right there. That is what keeps the thing up. Now, once again, you have a jet engine. The thrust is back here, right? Well, no. On a Harrier, the bypass is connected to the front ducts, and the jet engine is connected to the rear ducts. That is insanely smart. One engine can do this. One engine lifts this plane up. Just one. Not 2, not 6, not 8, not whatever. One. One engine can do it. The Pegasus motor can do that. Because its bypass is feeding the front jets, so the front jets are like right here, and the bypass goes into the front jets, and then the rear jets are taking thrust from the jet engine. That's how the Harrier has 4 thrusters. That's how it hovers. Now, once again, you need to control it. You need to control the thing. So the Harrier has a tap off, just like that Yak does. In fact, they must have been looking at the Brits and trying to figure this out, because the Harrier came about in the late 60s, right? But BAE was still, or was it Hawker? They were still messing with this design. The Harrier went through a lot of iterations before they got it right. Let me put it to you like that. Now, check over here. See? Up, down, left, right, RCS. Up, down, RCS out on the end of the wing. And then there's up, down, RCS over here. Up, down, left, right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you have roll control RCS right there and right there. There's no way to go forward and back with the Harrier's RCS if I'm remembering right. But, yeah. A high bypass turbofan feeding 4 jets with a bleed air tap off for reaction control systems is genius. It's genius. It is. That is so smart. It blows my mind to this day. Like, look at that. Look at how simple that is. That one thing can make the thing hover. This one component. One component. That's all you need. 2 moving parts. 2 turbines. So you have your bypass turbine blade, and then you have your forward, and then an oil pump. So it's 3 moving parts. But I know that jet engines are a lot more moving parts than that. 3 principal components can make the Harrier hover. Unbelievable. Thank you, Aqualex. Yeah. It's genius. That's one of the smartest aerospace inventions or innovations I've ever seen. It does not get cooler than that. Like, the Brits had it figured out. That is some of the smartest engineers. That's why the Harrier is one of my all-time favorites. You can't frick with this. That is so smart. It's so smart. And then the RCS bleed off. The planes with a reaction control system. You guys got to remember, this is the 60s. This is the 60s. Reaction control systems were a new thing on spacecraft at the time, let alone an airplane. Think about it, man. It's wild stuff. Yeah, I mean, Pop, it's genius. It's genius. Like, it doesn't get better than that. No one could do stuff like this. No one could duplicate this. Until the Americans, we couldn't duplicate it. We just used the Harrier. We're like, screw that. We don't need to. We'll just use that. The Marine Corps still uses the Harrier to this day. They use the AV-8B. They still use it because it's that good of a design. Now, Harrier's unfortunately going to get phased out by the F-35B, but it took us years to freaking come up with something similar. Now, the Russians did screw with something like that. The Yak-36 eventually led to the Yak-38. But the Yak-38 is not a bleed air system like the Harrier. I mean, it has a bleed air system, but it's not the downward facing ducts. The Yak-38 is a little different. That's what the Yak-38 does. They took the same idea from the Yak-36, moved it to the back, and then moved... They have 2 small jet engines that are upward facing in the front. Now, the F-35B... The F-35B actually is more like this. It's more like that than it's like the Harrier, believe it or not. Nobody's made stuff like the Harrier since. It's check this out. Look. The F-35 has a drive shaft coming out of the front of the jet engine, and that leads to a gearbox, which leads to a ducted fan. And the F-35B has the inlets on the top for the fan, so it can VTOL, and then they just vector the nozzle down. Also, you have a tap-off. You have tap-off air or bleed air on either side for roll control. Now, that's cool, but that's complicated, man. Look at how complicated this is. I mean, it's F-35. Of course it's complicated, right? Like, I personally, now don't get me wrong, I don't hate the F-35B. I don't hate the F-35 at all. I don't hate the Yak-38. They're all great planes. It's really hard to make a plane hover. Anybody that can do it is pretty damn smart. But that, taking all those concepts and condensing it into that is unreal engineering. That is unreal what that plane can do. Yeah, 619, right? As an F-22 person, I don't like the F-35. I mean, F-22s can't hover. I mean, actually, you know what, Pythos? That's not true. They absolutely can. If you point the nose up and full reheat, the thing can just kind of sit there. F-22 was much better. The F-35 and the F-22 are not the same type of plane. You guys are comparing an A-10 to an F-4. The F-22 is an air superiority fighter. It's an all-around, it's an air superiority weapons system. The F-35 is designed to do everything. It's an all-around fighter, attack fighter, bomber, thingamajigger. And then you have that thing. We don't talk about that thing. We don't talk about that thing. That thing is one of the weirdest planes I've ever seen. So, Boeing tried to compete with the F-35. Boeing tried to compete with the F-35 for the Joint Strike Fighter program, which is what made the F-35, and they submitted that. It's so happy. Can you imagine getting bombed by that thing? It's like, oh, that's plane so happy. Look at, oh, you know. Guys, I firmly believe that the top brass at the military will not take something that is ugly. I'm dead serious about that. They won't take an ugly plane. I know that sounds ridiculous, but honestly, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that some top brass at the Air Force was like, even if that thing performs better, frick that plane. That plane looks ridiculous. Explain the Goblin then. Oh yeah, that plane that they used like once and then decided they didn't want to do that anymore because it's stupid looking. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. The X-32 performed better than the F-35. I'm pretty sure they looked at it and said, no, that plane looks nicer. I want that one. Yeah, modern top brass. Yeah, I'm talking brass in the last 30 years. But I don't know. I don't know for sure. I'm pretty dang sure if I saw an X-32 and an F-35 next to each other, I'd be like, yeah, I want the F-35, please. The F-117 looks kind of dumb. Yeah, but you got to remember, the F-117 is purpose-built. It's built for a very specific application, just like the Space Shuttle. Space Shuttle's weird looking. I mean, I personally think it looks amazing. It's just me. A-10 isn't exactly handsome. I like the A-10. I think the A-10 is a beautiful looking plane. Screw me. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're choosing planes from that era. F4. 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 Just F4. You could say, EJ doesn't handle EJ machine. No, F4. Because frick you, I'm going faster than you. But EJ, it has no machine gun. Shh, I don't care. I like going fast, okay? So it reads correctly if EJ likes the plane from that era that goes the fastest, right? It makes sense, right? Dogfight. No. I want to go fast. Look at the competition for the A10. I've seen it, Pythos. Yeah, it's definitely weird looking. The VTOL for the X-32 was weird to say the least. Yeah, that's weird. That's weird. Still must work in an F-22 and the F-117. They use the monopiece carbon fiber wing system as a valid criticism. One bullet hole in the whole airframe has to go back to Boeing to be repaired, even if it even could be. Boeing didn't design it to come apart. No new information, but it's hitting the news now. Yeah. That sucks, man. Hey, that sucks. Someone's gonna have to do a lot of faxes. Yeah, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. Anyway, guys, we should really start packing it down. But I do want to play more. But we should also start packing it down. The B-2 is the scariest plane I've seen. I don't know, Lemprod. I've saw. Okay, all right. We'll wind down with some Timberborn. Okay.